All right, I think I got it. Let me know. Sound. You guys hear me? Patrick? I guess since you're the first one in here. Can you hear me? All right, there we go. Sounds fixed. I guess it was just a slight issue with the mic, just a slight hiccup. So I don't know. It's happened before. So yep. So I guess let me turn the volume up just a little. All right. So like I was saying earlier, before the mic decided to cut out on me, yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. Hope you guys are having a good one. Let me click double check here and trying to set up some more videos to send to my iPad so I can edit some more. There's 17 more videos I have to edit yet that's sitting here on my computer minus 17 plus 6. So there's 23 videos yet to be edited and uploaded for you guys and counting. So, but the NCGA video that I just put out, that's just on planning. So basically just talking about the products that we're using, the varieties, the fertility program, the cover crop that was out there. So if you guys are interested, check that out. But otherwise, I'm going to have a whole bunch more videos coming at you guys here pretty soon. And is this done transferring? So, but yeah, harvest got done last Friday. In the meantime, we've been working on a new farm, and that has been going pretty good. We've changed directions on it. There's about 130, well, it's 130 acres for the most part. So, pretty good ground. CEC wise, a lot of you guys ask me on the CEC. Most of our CEC is anywhere from, I would say average across the board is about 8. And we pull some pretty solid yields off of that based on the fertility practices that we do. How was yield this year? Beans were very good. Beans were definitely very good. Corn, the NCGA field was by far the highest yielding we've ever seen. It was some of the highest yields we've ever seen. We've had some irrigated corn go under 200 bushel this year. And I think a lot of that has to do with the nitrogen this year. So let me back up a little bit. In our area, we had a pretty rough start. No, I did not get a new truck. The truck that you guys see in that video is our hired guy's truck. So, who's also one of our landowners. So that's his truck. We had for the most part, a very good spring up until I would say the first week of May. The first week of May, all of a sudden, it just turned off cold and rainy, and planting conditions then just became very terrible. If I'm buffering, that's not. I don't believe that's on my end. I believe that would be on your end. So, but as far as planting conditions go, planting conditions turned off cold, wet, and rainy, and the nitrogen uptake that we needed this year was tremendously higher compared to years past. Typically, what we put down about 50 pounds of nitrogen down with the planter, and then we'll come back side dress with anywhere from 140 to 210 pounds, depending on CEC and depending on the ground, and also depending on yield goal. So in typical years past on irrigated corn ground, 50 pounds down with the planter, and then 140 down side dress. The reason why we shoot for only 140 on irrigation is because we fertigate. So we'll come back in with, say, another 100 pounds through the pivot. So, and I'm not saying we're doing 100 pounds all in one shot. We're doing, like, say, anywhere from 10 to 25 gallon to the acre rates. So with the pivot, so we're not putting down 100 pounds in one turn. So, but 25 gallon a turn, I mean, you're still talking 80 some pounds of nitrogen. So, but besides the point there on fertigation, corn needed a lot of nitrogen this year. And I think it wasn't just in our area. I think a lot of people saw that this year. For some reason, corn, anywhere from that, from the time you planted it till about V6, V8, it needed a boatload of nitrogen. This was the first time in my lifetime of seeing this and Dad's lifetime of seeing this that we saw corn nitrogen flat out showing nitrogen deficiency at V5 when we're going out there and side dressing. I mean, it was freaking us out because it's like, for one, you guys all understand, or most of you guys understand, V5 is a critical time for ear development, and in my opinion, you could probably back that window up to about V3 even, but that's besides the point. But neither has Dad seen nitrogen deficiency that bad or that pronounced. What we saw this year, we've never seen nitrogen deficiency at V5, and we've always have been able to get by with 50 pounds of nitrogen. And most neighbors look at us and say, "You're putting down 50 pounds of nitrogen on with the planter?" We're like, "Yeah." I mean, most of you guys in Illinois don't even use starter fertilizer. So a lot of you guys in Illinois or Iowa that don't use starter fertilizer, or even up in Minnesota, are like, "You can afford to stop and run starter fertilizer?" Yeah, because in our low CEC soil, we have to spoon feed. So putting on 50 pounds of nitrogen has always been able to carry us up until side dressing. And this year, it just did not work. We just didn't have enough gas out there to keep her going. And next year, our plan is next year is to completely change over the starter, because we do about 50 pounds of phosphate with the planter also. So as far as phosphate, we just run 10-34-0. So last year, we split half and half, 32 and 10-34-0. And next year, we're just going to take the 10-34-0 completely out of our 2x2x2. Now, in furrow, we do run 2 gallon of 10-34-0. That's not going to change. So in furrow, we're running premium in furrow from Logan, and which I would highly recommend. We've been using that for over 11 years now and wouldn't change it for the world. And then 2 gallon of 10-34-0 and round that off with water to get that to 3 gallon to the acre. So next year, now this is going to kind of mimic and piggyback off of Greg Souter. He puts down 75 pounds down with 75 pounds down of nitrogen with the planter. And we're going to end up doing that also. So basically do the exact same thing, 32%, put 75 pounds down, and hope that helps us carry us to side dressing, because for some reason 50 pounds is not cutting it no more. And like I said, I just couldn't believe, and neither could Dad, that 50 pounds this year just could not carry us. Now, in the past, I don't know how many years that we've been running starter, forever, we've never had an issue with that. So just this year, it just seemed like the corn took a heck of a lot more nitrogen than what we were used to, and we just couldn't feed it fast enough. So, which we've had that in years past on fertigation, but to have it that early, that was really concerning this year. That's something that we're going to take notes on for next year and definitely make a bunch of changes. So for the irrigation for next year, instead of 140 pounds, we're going to take that to probably 200, just to give us a wider buffer there for fertigation. So have you thought about getting someone to edit your videos? So a lot of people messaged me about that this year, about why the editing kind of slacked off there for a while. And it's just because I just got lazy when it came down to it. I just flat didn't take the time. I filmed them, and I just did not take the time to edit them. Now, hiring somebody to edit the videos, you could do that, and I could do that. And, you know, what my idea on editing a certain video versus somebody else's are two different things. Now, I could flat out sit and tell them and watch through all the footage and tell them timestamp per timestamp what to do and how to edit it. Where, you know, why would I pay somebody to do that? Yeah, it's taking time away from me that I don't have to worry about, but I still have to sit down, go through everything and tell them how to edit it, and then expect them to do hopefully a similar job to how I would want it done. And granted, I'm not being ignorant there or anything. I'm just flat out telling you, you know, that's why I like to do my own editing. You know, it's easier for me on the filming side because I can understand when I'm filming how to make it easier on my end for the editing. Now, when somebody that doesn't know what the video is going to be about, now granted, I could skim through the footage real quick. Like I can just open up, okay, what's this? I title my videos based on what number of video this is. So, you know, I'm looking at vlog 240 right here. I can take a quick gander at the footage here, open up a couple of video files, and okay, this one's on planting beans, looks like over on the veal barn. So that would be sometime on around May 19th, I'm guessing. And this is like 6, 7, 8 months ago. So, and I could pretty much figure out for the most part what needs to be done just by watching these video files and understanding what's going on that day. Whereas somebody that, you know, wasn't there that filmed it is expected to edit it. It's a lot harder for them. So that's why I like filming and editing my own videos. So it just, like I said, it just boiled down to the fact that I just got lazy. So, and I'm kicking myself pretty hard about why I didn't do it. And yeah, but either way, the videos are going to come out, so it doesn't matter. So any new purchases? Van trailer. That's not here yet, but probably next week. And that's going to replace the van trailer that we took up to LaPorte and got rid of, the old spray tender trailer. So how do I like the sprayer? The R4045. Love it. I mean, there's really the only thing I can complain about that sprayer. Now, a lot of you guys are going to just sit there and say I'm nitpicking at this point, and it's I wish it's really fuel efficient in my opinion, but it could be more fuel efficient if the RPM got really, if they could vary the RPM. Now, on the series, on the next model, newer sprayer, basically a 2020 model, the RPMs are now varied. So, thinking and reading comments here at the same time, but yeah, so I wish the RPMs would vary so it'd help on the fuel economy just a little bit, instead of running full bore all the time. But that's just a little thing. Otherwise, I wish we had the Gen 4 display and everything, as far as like the 8530 and the combine. So the Gen 4 display, if none of you have ever messed with one, when they first came out, I didn't think I was going to like them. And then when I demoed that 9RX, a couple years ago. Okay, what the heck was that noise? Hold on 1 second. I don't know. The dog was screwing around in the other part. So, but that's the only other thing I could think of as far as just little things on the sprayer. But the Gen 4 display, back to that, when we demoed that 9RX, and that was the only reason why the 9RX was part of that demo, was just because it happened to be the tractor that was on that vertical till. That's the only thing we were really wanting to look at there, was the vertical till. But the Gen 4 display, that was the first time we ever really had in-field use of the Gen 4, and the customization on it compared to 2630 and being able to navigate a heck of a lot better, and just data transfer. I mean, being able to pull in a file and not have to completely overwrite the whole computer, which I think is absolutely stupid how they have that set up on the 2630. I mean, that is a terrible software engineering design on John Deere's part. But I guess it is what it is. And I guess they fixed it on the Gen 4s, but, you know. So I would say it was about, well, it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago when I bought our second auto steer setup. It was a Starfire 6000 full RTK with a 450 radio. Yeah, 450 radio, because there's 450 and 900s. 900s are for, what are the 900s for? They're for like down in the Mississippi Delta and stuff like that, but that's besides the point. So it had full RTK in the globe, 2630 with auto track, and at the time it was now called SF3, because before it was WAS SF1 SF2, now it's WAS SF1 SF3. So SF3 and RTK, and it ended up being like 27,000, 27 to 30,000, somewhere in there, I think, with tax. So but I was talking with our salesman at the time, and I'm like, so would it be wise, instead of buying a 2630, just look at buying a Gen 4? Because at the same time, we were going to update our 2600 and get a 2630. Well, you're not really gaining much. I mean, I understand, yes, you're gaining some parts as far as the physical attributes, as far as the screen's better and a few other things. Data, as far as like data storage, the 2630 does have a bit more data storage. It does bring to the fact that you can use a USB now on them, versus before you were using a flash card. I call them flash cards half the time, those SD cards. But besides the point on that, he goes like, well, in my opinion, you and running on the 690 and stuff, you're really not going to gain much on the Gen 4. And I'm like, well, all right, whatever. And I guess at the time, unless he was just really screwing with me at the time, because now you read into it, and I really don't understand where he was coming from at that point about saying, well, it's all subscription based, so you can't just buy it and it just stays on there like the 2630. Well, on a 4640, if you buy the premium activation, it stays on there. You're not, it's not a reoccurring subscription. So what makes a difference if you spend the money on the premium activation? It's still a one-time purchase. I don't know. So that's just kind of something Dad and I regret, that we would have went to 4640s at that point, but I'm really happy with it on the sprayer. Data management on there has been huge. I mean, it just makes setting up trials with the sprayer for foliars so much easier to dissect and op center. Compared to what I'm trying to punch in on the 2630 for side dressing, it's a little bit harder, but you can manage on there. But on the Gen 4, it's just so cut and dry and simple. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I prefer the Gen 4s over the 2630s any day. So, have you thought about an 8th yet? Oh, 8RX. Yeah. 8RX isn't even in the cards, dude. I mean, 500,000. No, not even 500,000. You're talking 500, 5.5, almost 6. I mean, really? No. That's not even. No. How many miles on your new semis, and what did you roughly pay? So I'm not going to tell you what we roughly paid, because that doesn't really matter. It wasn't new price, I can tell you that. But the one had 36,000 miles on it when we got it. Right now it's got about 45, just under 45,000. And that's not 450, that's 45,000. And the other one had 67,000. And that's actually the one I saw first online. And the second one, the one with 30, or the one that had 36,000 miles on it, that one actually came about just because we were calling in and found out that they happen to have a third semi. But that's besides the point. We don't have 3 semis. It's kind of a weird situation how that second truck came about. But when we originally got them, one had 36 and the blue one had 45. So the blue one now has 70. No, sorry, the blue one's got 67,000, but the blue one's got as of right now, 75,000 miles on it. 78,000. And that's because we use that truck for hauling tomatoes mainly. It was going to be the gray one that hauled tomatoes, but just some complications there with some fifth wheel ramps. We had to switch trucks, and the blue one ended up being on tomatoes, which doesn't really matter, but oh well. So they are going to both have Steinbauer chips in them. The one truck is at 509 right now, and with the Steinbauer chip on the other truck, because that one was about 507, the one with the Steinbauer chip, with having the chip on it, it takes it just up to 600 horse, or just over 600 horse on those DD15s, on those Detroit 15 liters. So we wanted the extra horsepower because why not? And 2, it just makes going down the road with a legal load of corn a heck of a lot better. So the gray semi is the one that has a Steinbauer in it, and it just drives like a car. I mean, it's unbelievable. 10 speed in it, straight 10, not a super 10, just straight 10, and really nice. You can take off in 4th gear with no issue whatsoever with a load of corn or a load of beans, either or, it doesn't matter. But the blue one, it shifts a little bit weird compared to the gray one. Same transmission, everything. But going into 5th gear and going into 9th gear, got about a 50 RPM window. And it seems like that transmission, even though that truck has more miles on it, that transmission's a little bit tighter compared to that gray one. So personally, I thought I was going to like the blue one better. But in my opinion, I mean, I could just be biased right now just because the gray one has Steinbauer on it right now. But even before we had the Steinbauer on it, just the way it shifts, I mean, I just like driving that gray one. I mean, between the gray one and the black semi, I love driving both of those. The blue one's all right. I mean, it's just, you got to, when you haven't drove that truck in a while and you're coming out of the grain cart and you get in the semi and it's the blue one, it's like, well, one trip coming from the field to the farm and then back out to the field, you'll be fine. But it's just that first, couple turns, it's just like, gosh darn it, you just got to get the timing down because it's a little bit different timing. So, and that's true, Jim, we were talking about that, and Barry was concerned about the fuel usage, and actually the fuel usage was a wash. I mean, it was the same, going from 500 to 600 horse. The cool thing is with Steinbauer, the way that chip works, it's only sending more fuel to the injectors if it's actually calling for more power. So it's not just dumping all this extra fuel in all the time. It's only sending extra fuel when it's actually needing the extra fuel. So that's actually part of the reason why we went with Steinbauer. And plus, they were one of the only ones that told us we can actually do something with the truck, because we actually took the blue semi, happened to be hauling corn one time up to the ethanol plant up at South Bend. We needed a couple of things for the one semi. It was like a couple of window switches and mirror switches up at Freightliner. So Barry stopped up at Freightliner and asked him about, hey, by the way, can we do anything with the semis? They're like, nope. And so we took the gray one up to Detroit Diesel, and they went through it and said, can't touch them. Basically, they're set at 507, so that's it. Can't really touch them. Now, the other one, the blue one, was at 509, so they're just a hair over 500, which, I mean, yeah, that's a lot, but, we weren't, I was expecting, coming from the black semi at 475, I was expecting at least, having a hair over 30 more horsepower, a little bit more of a difference, and especially with a lot more low end torque on those Detroits, or on the 15-liter Detroit, that we were actually going to see a little bit more of an improvement going down the road. And that's kind of where we were getting really disappointed with. So that's why we started looking for ways to increase horsepower on them. We even talked to Pittsburgh Power, because you can actually take a 12.7 Detroit, which is in the black semi, which was in the old blue Freightliner that we had, and take those as 650 or 675 horse if you wanted to, by putting a different intake manifold and a larger turbo on there. But you could, I mean, we thought about it. I mean, on the black semi, I mean, do we need 650 horse? No, but really that black semi, I mean, the black semi's got a 9-speed in it. So the black semi, I mean, in our opinion, it would be nice to go to a 10-speed on it just to make everything 10. So that way when you're hopping from truck to truck to truck, it's all the same. But realistically, the way that truck sits right now, what should be in it is a 13-speed, and that would make life a lot easier. But I don't know. So that's just kind of something on the back burner that we're always thinking about doing to that truck. But now with these two new ones, it's just, that truck isn't going to really be doing much grain hauling anymore unless we get a third hopper eventually, which is still on the cards, but probably, I don't know if we're going to do it next year or not, with having less custom work yet to do. I mean, we thought we were going to get 800 acres, but I guess that didn't happen because of a neighbor. So, which, yeah, really stings. So that kind of took the wind out of our sails on that. So, oh well. Never have I ever driven an 18-speed. That's something I don't know if I'd ever want to drive, honestly. Would be interesting, though. Happy Thanksgiving, Kirk. That's what I was wondering. I haven't talked to anybody, like, specifically that owns one that has a variable RPM and find out. Like, I know there's a bunch of guys up in Canada that I talk to that run 45s. And but they're also the ones that are putting the maxi tanks on there and running 1800 gallon tanks on there, which, mean, yeah, that'd be nice. More gallons. Heck yeah, more acres. But a lot more weight. That's my opinion. So even though the 1,200 gallon, I mean, we wanted a 1,200 gallon tank just because it just make acres round off a little bit better, especially on 10 gallon, 15 and 20 gallon to the acre rates that we're running. Typically what we do, 10 gallon is typically Roundup Post and burn down for both corn and beans. 15s for Liberty, which I might change that to 20, just depending on how the acres figure out for beans this year and just efficiency on loads. We'll see on that. And then 20 I just use for foliar, which that works out good, and fungicide. So I've talked to some guys that run 25 gallon to the acre for fungicide and have really good results coming out of 20. So I might play around with 25, but the problem is I need bigger nozzles for that at that point. So and nozzles aren't cheap. So where are the vids at? Well, I just put one out, Braxton, so you can go check that out. But otherwise, on the sprayer, back to that, really nothing wrong with it. I mean, I might do an LED upgrade on it with Tiger Lights. Haven't really kicked that idea around a lot, but might be something I'll look into. But foliar, that's worked out really good with that sprayer. Can't really complain on anything else, really. Fungicides worked great first pass. I mean, obviously we can't really do any late season with it. I mean, V10 was kind of the cutoff, and that was kind of what I was shooting for fungicides, so about 4 or 5 foot tall corn. Which I'm going to be changing my fungicide program up. Well, I guess I can tell you guys about that. 2-pass fungicide on corn and beans this year. We saw our best bean yields we've ever seen this year, whether it was dry land or irrigated. We had an irrigated bean field run 88 bushel average, 100 on 70, it'd be 68 acres. So pretty happy with that. I mean, I know some guys do better than that, but in our area, that's phenomenal considering we can only get 65 bushel irrigated beans no matter what you do. So obviously what we've been doing with the Logan stuff is definitely working. So did we get a new bean planter? No. That is something we're still thinking about, but I seriously doubt we're going to do anything this year, just considering input prices are out of sight. But back to the 2-pass fungicide. 2-pass fungicide on beans is definitely something I would recommend. This year it was R1 and R5, and in my opinion, for better use efficiency of the fungicide, I would do R2 and R4 for first and second pass. What I ran for fungicide on beans was Approach at 6 ounces and Approach Prima at 6.8. And that was done at R1 and then at R5. So my opinion, tighten that up a little bit and do R2 with Miravis Neo at 16 ounces and do Approach Prima at R4, like a late R4, close to R5, not a full R5 or an early R5, but a late, either a mid to late R4, and run that at about 6.8. That's just my opinion, my observations from this year on control, and what I've heard from guys down south doing a similar program. And I mean, not Southern Indiana. I'm talking Mississippi Delta, guys that are running 4 or 5, group beans, so that are cranking out the yield with the higher group beans. So I don't know. They can definitely pull the yield with those group 4s and group 5s that we can't seem to quite get consistently every year without doing some good stuff to them. So So on the corn, similar result, really good, positive result on 2 pass. Really, really frustrated, um, beyond frustrated for me, really, um, on when our second pass of fungicide went down with the plane. In my opinion, I feel we got completely screwed over and pushed off to the bottom of his list. And it just didn't. The application helped, but we ended up, as far as comparing it to neighbors' results, we were definitely lagging. We left a boatload of yield on the table, even on our treated acres, and it was quite frustrating, especially when we only ended up doing irrigated ground, and we typically the past few years have been doing all of our acres because of tar spot. And a week after we ended up making that decision and getting it sprayed, we ended up walking a couple of fields and ended up finding southern rust, which is what we typically don't find in this area. And then later also found some anthracnose and more. And it just, you sit and look at the yield drag and you're just like, son of a, you're just like, if you would have had fungicide out there at the right time. There's a neighbor that has a Haggy that we might talk to and see if he might be interested in doing some custom spraying for us. Just for fungicide and just help him tend, just run our tender around with water, because by then we'll have a new tender. Hopefully by February, we're going to have a whole decked out, ready to go turnkey tender set up, but for the sprayer. But I know I get this a lot when I start bringing this up about a Haggy, about, utilizing somebody with a ground rig. Why in the world we didn't just buy a Haggy if we're having issues with late season fungicide applications? Well, our biggest issue is just product on the sprayer. I've seen so many guys in the area. There's one guy, an exception, they take stupid good care of their sprayer, and I mean it's getting washed every single day, and that's awesome. I envy what they do. I mean, it's pretty awesome. But I've seen so many sprayers that don't get washed maybe once, twice, 3 times a year, and I washed ours probably about 8 times this year, just cleaning stuff constantly, because I know the corrosion issues that you can get on sprayers. I mean, it's a given. It's just how long can you mitigate the issue? So it's just product on the front boom, or product coming on the sprayer from the front boom. And then just some issues I've heard on Haggy sprayers versus coming from the guys that run John Deere sprayers. Now, granted, I understand that Haggy and John Deere are like this now. So the newer Haggies are probably going to be a heck of a lot better than the older Haggies. And some guys might not even have any issues at all, and they're probably sitting there going like, what in the world is he flapping his lips about saying that he doesn't like a Haggy? I like Haggies. I mean, Haggies are cool. They're really versatile, but those are just our couple of complaints. And the leg bushings. The leg bushings, in order to find a sprayer that was within our price range, you'd have to be looking one around anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 for a Haggy in our price range. So from what I've heard, and this is just from the guys I've talked to, so for the guys that haven't had an issue, don't freak out, but I'm just saying this is from experience from guys that I've talked to. The leg bushings have issues around anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000. So that kind of just deterred us from looking at a Haggy, because at that point it's like, well, you can either take a chance and hope that, they aren't lying about the leg bushings, and that you can go and look at a sprayer and say, okay, yeah, the leg bushings look new, or they changed them recently, and that they'll last a long time then. Or you take a risk of buying a used sprayer then at that point and not know when the leg bushings are going to go out, or when you're going to have issues. Yeah, you can sit and grease them, but you don't know how well the previous owner can sit and tell you how much they grease, but is it true? How long, there's just so many different things that you can say at that point. But I just looked at the R series sprayers, the reliability, the rear boom, the 1,200 gallon thing, Gen 4 integration, everything's all John Deere, simple. Yeah, granted, John Deere owns Hagie now, and you can still get Hagie parts down the road. But I just look at all the issues our dealer faces with Hagies all the time, and it seems like you never really see a John Deere sprayer having. I'm not saying there's no issues with John Deere sprayers. I'm just saying it just seems like in our area, even though there's not a lot of John Deere sprayers run, and that's typically because there's a lot of specialty crops, seed corn, tomatoes production in this area, that a lot of guys run the high clearance front boom sprayers compared to a lower clearance John Deere sprayer. So that's just why we ended up going with a John Deere sprayer. Yeah, that does limit our application window, but it's just a chance and a risk that we got to take that we feel is what we want is outweighing the risk that we're taking there on losing the application window, which we're not necessarily losing still by buying this sprayer. Yeah, we could have gained it, but we're still not really losing it because we never had it to begin with. So we always hired that done. So I guess we're just going to continue having that hired out. So, but by being able to do a ground rig application, I feel we can get a little bit, in my opinion, a lot better of a coverage, especially on field edges. And also just timing. It boils down to timing now. And like I said, I just felt like this year we got completely pushed off to the bottom of the list. I don't know why. I don't know if there was like an underlying thing about the NCGA field with him that he thought, screw them, I'm going to try and screw them over on yield there, which, we flat out had with the return elevator. Somebody overnight opened our return elevator, which we didn't know, and we lost quite a bit of corn on the ground, which we didn't know. You guys can sit and laugh or make fun about that, but, we didn't walk around the combine that night or that next day from leaving it set overnight, but typically you don't think that somebody's going to go and open the return elevator door. So we had that this year. There's a lot of things that happened this year. Hell, I don't know, a tire fell off the combine this year, and I'm not joking about that. The rear tire checked out on us going down the road, 20 mile an hour. Why? We don't know. It just, we've never touched those back tires, never taken them off. Don't know. Lug bolts just all shot out. Don't know why. So, yeah, it was a really stressful, really one of those falls, put it that way. It was not short of the NCGA field doing some crazy good yield and the beans showing some really awesome yield in every single field. I don't know. It was a rough fall. So, and short of the 800 acres that we lost. So that was a kick in the nuts for sure on that, especially when it was due to a local farmer that decided to send a letter to a landowner like they've always done years past to steal ground from other people. But I'm just going to leave it at that. So, are you changing your fertility program for next year with prices? No. So fertility staying constant. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the price is. You're not going to cut short on fertilizer. If you're going to cut short on fertilizer, all you're doing is cutting yourself short for 2023, 2024, 2025. Doesn't matter. Fertilizer is a given. We're not changing the rates. If anything, there could be some places where we're going to end up increasing rates in places just due to the fact of what we're seeing this year on yields from yield responses of trials that we did. So it's fertilizer. We're not cutting on fertilizer, put it that way. So, back in the 80s when Dad and Grandpa used to tell me about stuff that happened back then, as far as, times like not quite similar to now, but, very similar in some instances of guys cutting back on lime, potash, DAP, MAP. And, some of those guys aren't around right now. They're telling me, and, some of them are. And but the yield suffrage that you're going to face at that point, you know, unless you have really high CEC soils, which aren't common in this area, you know, and I mean high, you know, like Illinois ground, you know, and I'm not, you know, granted, there are some places in Illinois that are really sandy, very similar to our ground. There's places in Illinois where they have a pivot out there and they're not even farming dry corners. That speaks pretty loudly because we're farming the dry corners in our area. But, and I mean, I'm talking like, you know, the racehorse flats areas in Illinois, you know, that good heavy soil that you're driving past down 57 saying, my God, I wish I farmed down here, you know, but that's besides the point on that. You know, it's, if you have high CEC soil, that's one thing to cut back some because you've got a reserve. Low CEC soil, you have to spoon feed. It's never given. You're gonna need it. So it's just, it is what it is, I guess. You know, we're thinking about making some changes to try and help with the cost on fertilizer, dry fertilizer mainly. There's some things I wish we could utilize right now. A couple of fertilizer tanks that one is, the one has a pinhole leak in it in the floor of it. The other one, we're gun shy on. So we're out about 20,000 gallon of storage for 32, which is quite frustrating, but it's just, it's a problem. So, especially right now. But, you know, we haven't utilized those tanks in the past 5 years anyways, so we've bought in season. So, or, well, we haven't bought all of ours in season. I mean, we've prepaid a lot, so in years past, so which is similar to like what we did last year. And fortunately, we caught the price curve ahead before everything just went out of sight. So that worked out for us in our favor really well. But, you know, as far as booking stuff for next year, everybody's sitting in the same boat in our area right now. You can get a price. You can get a price on NH3. I mean, you can get a price on 32. You can get a price on chemical. Well, I take that back. We haven't even gotten prices for chemical for next year because I don't know. I honestly don't know why we can't get a price on chemical. Supposedly, our one chemical salesman's going to be making the rounds maybe next week, if not the following week. So maybe we'll get some prices then, I hope. And maybe we're able to book, I hope. But for, like, say for liquid, for fertilizer, you can sit and get these prices, but they won't let you book them. Our one co-op won't we can't get a 1034.0 price from our one co-op because they don't even have delivery of it from their supplier, and the price for 1034.0 from them is going to be whatever the price is going to be from their supplier on the day that they get it. When are you guys planning on getting 1034.0? Because 1034.0 just keeps on climbing. You know, fortunately for us, we're changing our starter program, you know, so we're using a heck of a lot less 1034.0, and all we're using is 2 gallons to the acre in the in-furrow. So that's going to help out a lot, but that's still, you know, a cost there. There's still an expense, you know, that's going to be a heck of a lot higher than last year for 1034.0. I don't know. It's insane. NH3 anhydrous is out of sight. Fortunately, we don't side dress anhydrous anymore. But the problem is, I mean, I don't know which looks better, $1,800 anhydrous or $750 32. I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, I guess, what are you guys hearing in your guys' area? I mean, price-wise, for what's a say anhydrous and 32? Because I heard out in Nebraska some crazy numbers, like $1,400 a ton for for 32. I heard $2,000 a ton over somewhere in Illinois. I believe it was Southern Illinois for anhydrous. This is going insane. I mean, I asked Dad and Grandpa, I'm like, you guys ever seen anything like this, like in the 70s and 80s? They're like, we are in uncharted waters. Do you own a dually? No. It's a 2013 F-150. Yeah, the fertilizer game right now is absolutely insane. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, I guess, what are you guys seeing in your area? And I mean, like I said, we can't really book stuff in our area right now. I mean, the only thing we can actually lock in right now is if we have a dry spread right now this fall is potash or DAP. You can't lock nothing in for spring though. I mean, they won't lock nothing in right now, which I feel is insane. It's just like, really, I can't prepay nothing right now? Nope. We can get you a price though for this fall. $1,000 anhydrous. At the time, what was it, 2 years ago? No, not even 2 years ago. It was a year and a half. A year and a half ago, everybody thought 650 was a lot. How many acres do you run? Not enough. Not enough. Enough to keep us busy, but not enough. I'd like a little bit more. I'd like to run around 2,500. No more than that, really. I don't want to farm 4,000, 5,000 acres. I don't want to be a corporate farm like the one in this area who likes to write letters to landowners and steal ground from people and have a fleet of employees. I don't like that. That's not right. That's not what a family farm's about. I'm sorry. That's not right. Yeah, fertilizer prices, I mean, and chemical prices are no better. I mean, what we're doing, which, well, I guess, I don't know. I guess I really shouldn't say, just in case if Rural King gets any ideas there, but yeah, I'm not going to say nothing on that. But it's our Corteva rep. We went to a Pioneer meeting recently, and our Corteva rep really painted a nasty picture on. Dad was telling me, because I wasn't actually in the meeting, I was trying to get some corn done for us, but ahead of some rain. But he came back and he goes like, I really got to call up Joe and find out what's going on in the chemical side of things, because he's like, there's some really nasty things going on right now that he's like, I just don't know if we're going to have enough Roundup for next year. And it's like, well, we're putting out all this cover crop, and our main chemical for burn down for cereal rye is glyphosate. And we're like, all right, well, we're putting out all, not quite all of our acres in cover crop, but good 90-95%. Are we going to have enough Roundup for burn down? This might not be good. Well, he said that he can easily supply us with enough Roundup. Their supplier told them that they're going to have enough. Basically, these chemical companies in the areas have to give them tentative orders to their suppliers to figure out, okay, it's just like us on seed. We got to figure out every year, demand plan for what you guys are going to want for next year. As far as seed goes, so say a new variety comes out this year, and we got to gauge whether or not this is going to be a good thing in our area or a flop in our area. So depending on, PKP history and stuff like that, and product knowledge and all this and that, whether how many units we need to be looking at invoicing for next year to keep in our demand plan for inventory to sell to you guys. So, I mean, it's the exact same thing, but I'm just glad that he can confidently say, for the most part right now, that he can supply us with enough Roundup, because there's some people out there that are just painting some really nasty pictures, which, I mean, you really don't know who to believe right now on the chemical side of things. I mean, Dad and I haven't heard a single thing on Liberty. I mean, we don't know. I mean, you guys want to fill me in on what you guys are hearing on Liberty? Because on Roundup, I mean, we kind of have a good feeling on the Roundup. At least for burn down, post emerge, it's kind of, at least there's some options post, but for burn down, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you guys are seeing on Liberty, but in our area, Liberty is like non-existent, and that's really scary right now. And it's making it hard on dicamba choice versus Liberty versus Enlist, and the Enlist program is great. Herbicide program is phenomenal, but yeah, you can spray 2,4-D out there, but half the reason you want the Enlist is to be able to spray Liberty with it. Well, if you can't spray Liberty with it, how good of a job is your herbicide program going to be? It's like, gosh darn it. It's like when a customer asks us what to do, and we're just like, I don't know, we're in the same boat, because we want to plant Liberty beans and we also want to plant Enlist beans, but if we can't plant Liberty, or we can't get the Liberty herbicide, we can't spray, we can't plant straight Liberty, but we can plant straight, or we can plant Enlist beans. But the problem is you got a trade-off there, because yeah, you can spray 2,4-D or an Enlist 1, but in order to make that program really effective, you really want the Liberty with it. But if you can't get Liberty, it's just, oh God. So, I mean, you got dicamba beans, but then you got to worry about borders and neighbors and everything. And most guys have now switched over to Liberty or Enlist. And it's just like, gosh darn it. It's just like, what do you do? What do you do? It's nuts. Would you ever upgrade on one of the tractors to an 8R? Yeah, eventually. It's a given. I really don't want to see it go, but the 4650 will be upgraded eventually to an 8R, and I really don't want to see that leave. I would like to see it upgraded to an 8R, but still stay on the farm. That's what I want. So 30 series are just getting too hard to find on low hours. I mean, if you want to find a 3,000 hour 8430, that'd be awesome. But I just saw a post on Facebook Marketplace. Either some of you guys are going to say, yeah, it's a good price, or some of you guys are going to say, what is he smoking? He had a 3,287 hour 8430 2009 4 SCVs, and it only had the smaller pump. It wasn't the big 50-gallon a minute pump for the hydraulics. It was a smaller pump, and I can't remember what size that smaller pump is. I think it's 40, 35 or 40, and 4 SCVs, IVT, and it had the foot throttle, and cab was, if he would clean it, he might be able to get this price for it, but you're just kind of like, take it outside, wash it, clean the cab, then maybe you'd get $210,000 for it, but just throwing it out there for $210,000 for a 2009 8430 with only, yeah, granted, it's pre-emissions, pre-def. Well, I take that back. It does have the EGR on it, but, pre-def at least. Not quite 3,300 hours for $210,000. What? It's like, so the 8530 with 5,000 hours. It just turned over 5,000. 5,000 hours. 08 8530 IVT 5 SCVs 50-gallon a minute pump. what, 170,000, 165. I mean, my God, we just made money on that tractor. It's like, geez, I don't know. Equipment prices are insane right now, and that's mostly why we don't have a new bean. Or I wouldn't say we would have bought a new bean planter. Put it this way, we're not buying a new planter, but we wouldn't. That's more than half the reason why we don't have a bean planter, 15-inch row bean planter sitting out here for next year, is because stupid prices on equipment right now. I mean, my God, everything's out of sight. I don't care for Machine Repeat, but Machine Repeat posted a 7810 that sold on auction for 170. It was 170 some $1,000. I don't know if it was 175 or 177,000. A 7810. I don't even think a 7810 was 170,000 new. It's just like, what? I don't know. It's insane right now. I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest things. I mean, seeing that conventional till and cultivators comment. I mean, yeah, that's with chemical shortage right now. I mean, that's one of the biggest fears we have on no-tilling is shortages on chemical, because we rely heavily on a good burn down program for no-till. I mean, you guys on conventional till, you guys work the ground, and then you guys rely on an in-season residual. Well, we rely on a good burn down program and a good in-season residual. Not to say that you guys at conventional till don't do a burn down program. I mean, some of you guys probably don't. Some of you guys probably just go out there with the field cultivator and work it and plant. Or some of you guys go out there, do a pre-merge, and then also work the ground. Some of you guys may be working the ground and be putting down a pre-merge right before or after planting, or even during planting. I mean, I don't know. We used to do it way back in the day. That was before my time, but we used to pull a field cultivator with a bridge hitch and planted right behind the field cultivator. Pulled that with the 4650. And had the chem farm tanks or ag chem tanks that are on the 4230 sprayer, which I will talk about that here in a second, were mounted on the 4650, and that's we sprayed pre-emerge down on the field cultivator right in the front section of it, worked the ground, planted all in one pass. Planted, sprayed, and worked the ground all in one pass. Dad did that, he said, for 2 years, and then he realized how inefficient it was for stopping that many times with the planter, for filling up with herbicide and filling up with starter, and then on top of that seed. So then he realized it's just better to buy a sprayer and do all of our own spraying and do, split that off from the planter and make a second pass. So, but no, that's a big concern of ours. I mean, it's probably more of a greater concern for us on the burn down side of things than for the conventional till guys. But I'm not to say that it's, not as, I'm not saying that the conventional till guys don't have any issues at all. I mean, everybody's got issues right now. I mean, it's a given. So, but yeah, I mean, for $210,000, I guarantee you somebody out there is going to be willing to pay for, $210,000. But, I don't know. I mean, it's nuts right now. I mean, you could sell the 8530 right now and make money on it, but I'm not saying that's the thing to do right now. But the sprayer's worth more money too. I mean, my God, I mean, what we paid for the sprayer and, what they're getting for them right now, it's like, man, we could make money on that sprayer, but kind of need the sprayer right now though, because the 4230 is kind of going to be decommissioned here completely. So on that, we're going to split the boom off. So we're going to take the boom off, going to take the stainless steel saddle tanks off and keep the saddle tanks. We're going to sell the boom. So if any of you guys are interested in a 60-foot top air boom, it's not in the greatest condition. It's decent. hit me up. I mean, I don't even know what we're going to sell it for, but if any of you guys are interested in that, I mean, most of you guys might know what I'm talking about. There is a video of the walk around on the sprayer, so if you guys kind of want to get a decent look at the boom, you can go check that out. The 3-point tank, probably going to get rid of that too. As for the tractor itself, we're going to sell that. Whether it's going to be with the high crop kit on it, or if we just convert it back to standard, and because we do have a front axle for that, and we do have the final drive still for it in the back. So we could take it back down to standard, but if anybody really wants it as it sets, hit me up. I mean, seriously. I mean, if you guys flat out want it, I mean, granted, we're going to take the stainless steel tanks off, but after we split everything off from it, the tanks, the spray, basically the whole sprayer setup, and just leave it as a high crop 4230. Put it this way, it would be one of one, because they never ever made a 4230 high crop with a sound guard cab. They made 4230 high crops, but it was with the open station or a ROPS cab or ropes cab. So there was no sound guard cab high crop 4230s. Now, granted, this is not a 4230 high crop assembly. This is a 4440 high crop assembly, but it's still unique the way it sets. So, but if any of you guys are interested in that, I'll probably throw it out there eventually, so you guys might see that. If anything, if nobody really bites on it the way it sets, as far as after we split everything off from it and just advertise it as a high crop 4230 sound guard, if nobody really bites on it, then probably just going to end up splitting it down to a standard and sell it as is, as a standard then. So we'll see. But that's the plan for the 4230. Really not a heck of a lot of sentimental value there. Dad bought that on an auction 20 some years ago, and it had 10,000 hours on it then, and it's probably sitting around 13, 14,000, 15, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look at the tach, to be honest. So, but yeah, that's kind of where things sit for the 4230. What else? Quite a bit of excavation projects going to happen this year on a lot of different farms. So it's going to be a little bit more interesting for you guys. You're a little bit more spiced up for that fact that we're not going to be working out of woods all winter long. So it'll be a little bit more different. Ditch cleaning, some fence rail work. We'll be working over on that new farm over in Porter County, so that's cool. Trying to think of anything else that's going to be going on. Going to be going down to Springfield. What day? Is that next week? First, second, and third. Yeah, next week. Hard to believe that. Well, I guess it is Thanksgiving, but hard to believe that December is like next week. Really, I mean, that's kind of really hard to believe. That means Christmas is literally just about 4 weeks away. Wow. Next week, we're going to be headed down to Springfield for a 2022 launch meeting for Logan products. So we got that going on. Spray tender build this winter. Probably next Monday or Tuesday. Gonna have to go down and get a trailer from Peru, Indiana, more than likely. So that's more than likely where the trailer is going to come from. So it's going to be it's not going to be it's not going to be over 48 foot. It's not going to be under 40 foot. It's going to be anywhere from 40 to 48 foot trailer, all enclosed with the at least cargo side door. Reason why a lot of you guys are asking me about why in the world we do a drop deck trailer all open like what most guys do. I'm not saying it's an issue in this area, but there's always a risk, it seems like, in this area, keeping stuff out. I'm not I'm not saying that we're always going to have the spray tender out and about, but if we're going to build this and do this right, it's going to be utilized quite a bit on the road. So you always run a heightened risk of leaving stuff set out like that, Roundup, this and that, especially with everything going on right now, this day and age. It's just easier to have everything closed up and out of sight and weatherproof also. But we could have a lot more confidence in leaving it parked on a filter strip or along the edge of a lane on a field, overnight, lock it up, not worry about it. But I don't know. We had a van trailer before set up, really liked it. It makes sense to us. I mean, it might not make sense to others, but it makes sense to us. So I guess that's all that matters. So what are Indiana farm use CDL laws like? As far as we know, unless something has changed for 2022, farmers are exempt from CDLs. So we're allowed to operate within a 150-mile radius unless that's changed in the past day. So farmers are exempt, and it used to be you had to carry a medical card. Now I don't even think you have to carry a medical card. At least what we've heard in the past, 5 years, it seems like. So as far as legal weight, it's 10% off the. It's 10% the first move of grain off the field. So you can't pull out of a bin and have 10%. You got to be 80,000, but you can have 10% first move of grain out of the field. So you can be 10% over, but yeah. Yep. Oh. Now my buddy owns a trucking business, or part owner of a trucking business, I should say. And he's always made fun of me about that, about the fact that, yeah, you and the farmers, you guys don't even need CDLs. That's just insane. And, here I have to suffer 3 times getting my CDL, and, you don't even have to worry about it. And it's just like, well, for now, unless something changes, we've got this wonderful administration going on right now. So insane. Let's go, Brandon. Oh, God. This is insane, insane, insane. So I don't know. That's basically all I got for you guys as far as anything new, exciting, going to be happening here this winter, going into next spring. So what do you guys got for me? I mean, honestly, you guys have kind of kept kind of quiet in the stream tonight, honestly. So, I'm surprised none of you guys have asked any more about the NCGA field, about saying, well, what the heck was it? What a yield, what a yield, what a yield. And I still can't say. Not until after December 12th. December 12th. That's when hopefully I get a phone call. So, I don't know. It's going to be close. But I don't know. it'll be interesting to see where that ends up falling at. I mean, after seeing what happened with the tailings elevator, I'm confident to know what actually was the yield out there. But as far as the yield loss with the tailings elevator, it's kind of hard to figure out. It was within the range that we were shooting for, but oh well. There's just people out there that really don't want to watch you succeed, which that's fine, I guess. So it's the stuff you got to live with. But yeah, I guess you guys need to kind of take over on this stream because I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about with you guys. So if anything, if you guys don't pipe up and say anything here, I'm going to end up ending this stream here in about, I'd say about 5 minutes. If you guys don't really have much for me, because I've pretty much spent just about everything I could tell you guys on right now as far as anything new, exciting, or anything that's going to be happening here this winter. Well, I guess I could tell you. Well, no, I'm going to save that for a video. I can't really tell you guys about that. Because that's actually going to be a pretty cool video when that ends up happening. And that's actually going to be a pretty cool video series or playlist for you guys when we end up getting this. So, which should, maybe we'll, I don't even know what the heck's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow. Maybe we'll go and get that tomorrow. But yeah, I guess you guys better pipe up, or I guess we're going to go ahead and end this here in about 5 more minutes, and that'll be it. And I guess you'll just have to wait for the next video to come out, which will come out sometime tomorrow. So. As far as foliar treatments on the Logan stuff, if any of you guys are interested in program sheets for that, do you see, hold on a second, do you see your farm putting up? So, but yeah, if you guys are interested in any Logan programs, let me know. I actually came up with, the heck, where'd I lay them? Honest to God, I thought I had them right here on my desk or in that drawer. I guess they're down here. Kind of show you guys what we're looking at here as far as the program sheets. So that one's for corn. Pretty clean, pretty professional. Bean. I got to tweak this one a little bit on the R1, R3 fungicide program pass, and same for the corn. Just tweak it just a little bit for an exception detail on there. But if any of you guys are interested in that, in learning more on these programs, we're going to be hosting a meeting sometime in December here at the farm. For anybody that's interested in buying any Logan products, doing anything with Logan products, it's going to be sometime in the middle of December, I would say. And hopefully by then we're going to have pricing. As far as availability sounds like there isn't going to be any issues there. I know a lot of companies. Conklin last year, I had a lot of guys that work with Conklin. So the stream's going to last a little bit longer than what I said it was going to. But a lot of guys that work with Conklin that were calling me up about getting sugar because Conklin couldn't get sugar. They ended up running out, and we had no issue on availability for sugar. So I actually sold a bunch of Conklin guys sugar, so that was pretty cool. And I might actually be converting one over to a complete foliar program just based on the yield data that he's seen from neighbors running product, and also seeing the yield data that we're showing him, which isn't BS. I mean, any of you guys can sit and say that, but, you know, I don't lie. I don't steal ground from people. I don't, you know, do that kind of stuff. But There's some people out there that do. So, and that's besides the point. So, do you see your farm putting up more center pivots in the future? Yes. Next year. Well, take that back. Not for 2020. Well, will that happen in 22? I don't know. It's going to happen very soon. There will be 3 more pivots for sure that will go up within the next year and a half. Why have you not been post? Why have I not been posting? Uploading? Busy. Just busy, really. Haven't taken the time to edit just because I've just been a little too busy. I know I made some, I don't know if it was really meant to be a snide remark or how they were presenting that, but too many irons in the fire. Put it this way, this year was a busy summer, and it seemed like it was a busy summer for everybody. Doesn't matter if it was us, the neighbor, the other neighbor, the other neighbor, or the other neighbor. It was a busy summer for everybody. So, too many irons in the fire. I know a lot of you guys few guys were actually products about us taking this on and, saying that, oh, we're going to be just snake oil dealers, this and that. And it's just like, yield data speaks for itself. We've used the products for 10 years now. We've had good faith in them. And a lot of guys in this area asking us how in the world we get the yields we do. Well, it's the fertility program we're running. It's the Logan products. It's this, it's that. It all adds up. There's no silver bullet to what we're doing. It's a complete silver BB program. So, I don't know. It's like I said, I think it was in the last live stream, 2021 has, and I think I saw this, somebody did a post on TikTok about this, about, 2021 was a year of learning about relationships and friendships with people and learning the true inner workings of a lot of people, which I can 110% attest to that. Definitely. There was some bridges that got burnt and definitely got burnt pretty bad this year. And yeah, 2021 all around has been a really rough year. Really rough. And I think it's been a really rough year for a lot of people. I mean, I understand. There's been a lot that's gone on in the past 2 years, 2.5, maybe even 3 years. But for us alone, just some of the stuff that we've had happen to us personally this year, it's been a really rough year. Hello from Wisconsin. Glad to see you again. Glad to have you in the stream, Craig. Yeah, someone summed it up perfectly on TikTok the other day, and I saw that when I was scrolling through, and I'm like, you couldn't have said it any better than that. I mean, honestly, you just hit it perfectly. So, happy Thanksgiving, Casey. Yeah. No, it's really nice so that we ended up picking up this ground over in Porter County. Really good ground. Really excited about it. A lot of cool things that we're going to be doing to it. I know I probably have a few neighbors over there, really puzzled about what the heck we were doing. Zyway. Yeah, I could talk to you guys about that. You guys are just finding those little things that just keep this little stream going. But you know what? Zyway is a good thing that we can talk about. That's that you guys can definitely stay away from. That's for sure. But the amount of times I worked that ground, I think a lot of guys think I probably worked it about 10 times crossways just to get it leveled up, but it only amounted to about 3 times. But the one neighbor drove by, I don't know how many times. It was actually pretty funny. I mean, we know them. There's no issues between us and them. At least I hope there's no issues. I mean, got nothing against them. I hope we have a good relationship with them, but I hope we have a good relationship with all the neighbors over there. Put it that way. We're in new territory. Put it this way. We've never farmed. We've never actually have farmed in Porter County before, really. We know guys over there for the most part. We've harvested over there, custom harvested quite a bit over there over the years, especially these past 3 years. And but yeah, I mean, kind of new territory for us as far as having our own ground over there. So that's kind of cool. I guess I could officially say, kind of moving into BTO status. I mean, we're farming in 3 counties now: Stark, LaPorte, and Porter. So not a lot in Stark and not a lot in Porter County. Amounts to about the same amount of acres, really, but still kind of cool to say. So what is your thoughts on Xyway? So Xyway. I would run far away from that stuff. That stuff is snake oil, in my opinion. It works for some. It doesn't work for a lot of other people, though. If you have it in furrow, don't do it. Just don't. We had it in furrow. Bad idea. Really, really bad idea. 2x2, Kelly Garrett was actually one of the ones that actually kicked that off, putting it in 2x2, I've heard. And I actually talked to him personally on that, about running that in 2x2. And he can attest that, yes, there is positive ROI running and positive results running Xyway in the 2x2. I'm just not impressed with the control on Northern and Gray. And I mean, I understand tar isn't even labeled on it, but there was no difference whatsoever on tar. The corn was actually standing better where there was no Xyway. So if that speaks anything, and you know what? For all of you guys are going to sit there and say, oh, it's Pioneer. Oh, no, it's DeKalb. Oh, no, it's Bex. I could sit and open my mouth about all the DeKalb corn that was flat in this area, or the Bex corn. There was down corn everywhere. Doesn't matter. We had down corn, and it was all because of the October 11th windstorm that we had. Doesn't matter. Everybody had down corn this year. I'm not going to sit and bash varieties or bash brands on down corn. That's not the thing to do. And I don't care if I'm a seed salesman or not. That's not the thing to do. But I can attest 110% the Xyway did nothing for us this year, and the corn was standing better, 110% better, 130% better, where the Xyway wasn't. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. My 2 cents on Xyway. Not worth the money. And run. 2-pass fungicide. Do the 2-pass fungicide. Way better. A lot better control. You can put some foliar micronutrients out there. More money. I don't know. That's just my opinion. So, exactly. I don't care. From a seed salesman standpoint, I could sit and bash all these other varieties, but what good does that do to you guys? Somebody else can say the same thing about Pioneer. What makes a difference? There's issues everywhere. There's no, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. You open TikTok and you get some of those guys on there and you're just like, what the heck? The stories I could tell you about that guy. Oh man, the guy, I shouldn't really open my mouth on that too much because I could tell you guys quite a bit of stories on inside stuff that I know about that deal right now. Like, I've seen the whole money trail. I've seen a lot of things that I could talk about on here, but that would probably get the FBI involved, honestly. I kid you not. I could say some stuff on here and I could have the FBI down from Michigan down here and probably by morning, honestly. With the stuff I know on that, with the guys that we've talked to in the past year and the stories, when this one of the guys that we've talked to has personally dealt with them a lot, and very heavily. I could tell you some pretty wild stories on, that some of you may or may not believe, but it's pretty impressive where the money comes from. And you're sitting there with your mouth hanging open saying, what? He's doing that how? It's like, wow. The products speak for themselves. If the products can't sell themselves, why even sell them? That has been Dad's philosophy, philosophy, and my philosophy ever since I came on board as a associate sales rep for our Pioneer business. We've been selling seed. So Grandpa took the business on 33 or 34 years ago, and then it ended up being Dad's sole thing now. As far as, Grandpa, it used to be 50-50, and now it's solely on Dad, and now it's split 50-50 between Dad and I now. But it's been our philosophy, all three of us, that, selling products, because we used to sell, there was about 7 years ago, there was a seed tender company, just a Pro Box tender thing. That we actually were a dealer for a year. We sold closing wheels for a couple of years there. Didn't sell very much. We sold rasp bars for the 8820s and 7720s. What else? We've sold a lot of. We've been a dealer. We've been dealers for a lot of different companies over the years, honestly. But we've been with Pioneer for over 33 years now. And our philosophy has always been, doesn't matter the product, but the products sell themselves based on performance. So I don't care if I have diehard DeKalb guys in here, diehard Bex guys in here. I don't care. You guys can sit and say, this is just a salesman and him blowing smoke. Products speak for themselves. And there's a reason why we've been 100% Pioneer for 33 years now. Products speak for themselves. My opinion, Dad's opinion, Grandpa's opinion. So take it for what it's worth. I don't care, but just my 2 cents. It's just like the firewood business. I'm in everybody. Yep. Jan, put a bad name on farming, but I'm happy to see someone like you succeed. Really appreciate that comment, Central Michigan. Really like that. Borison's farm. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories from this one source that worked very closely with Borison, and it's pretty eye-opening. And how he managed to do the dealings that he did. I mean, it's pretty interesting. So, and I guess it's kind of interesting when you follow him on Snapchat too, but I don't know. I'm not going to really give that handle up though, but I'm going to kind of keep that on the down low. But yes, I follow him on Snapchat. Maybe some of you guys do too, but it's kind of interesting watching that operation. So I don't know. That's interesting. There's been a lot of light on that now. The FBI investigation going on with that, and the ground issue that he had that was mortgaged, and the court wasn't going to let him sell it. Then I think it was 57 acres, I think, and they ended up allowing him to sell that, which kind of surprised me considering all the amount of debt he's in right now. But I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm actually surprised he owns ground, honestly. That's kind of amazing to me that he actually owns ground right now with everything that's gone on, that he actually has some type of asset there land-wise to hold on to. But interesting stuff, that's for sure. Very interesting. So we're going to run this stream for another, let's just say 5 more minutes, unless something good and juicy comes up. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and end it then in 5 minutes. So if you guys got something you guys want, if you guys got something you want me to talk about, shoot it in the comments. I don't care. Otherwise, we're going to end this in 5 more minutes, I guess. Okay, that can be deleted. Right now, I'm just going through Operations Center, just cleaning stuff up, getting stuff ready to transfer over to our agronomist so we can sit down this winter and go over every field and see what changes we want to make and all that good jazz. So should have a new video out tomorrow, should have a new video out Saturday, should have a new video out Sunday. Any wheat plant in the ground, so any wheat acres, no. A solid no for 2022. Was that the thing to do or not? Probably should have had some wheat out. $8.50 wheat is looking pretty good for July. Anything new coming for us viewers? Well, spray tender build, that's going to be a heck of a lot better of a view. Or for you guys watching on the old spray tender, on the spray tender fertilizer tender build that we did last year, or take that back, a couple of years ago, it's going to be a heck of a lot better on the filming side of things. So you guys will see a lot more content on that, some more explanations on why we're doing stuff the way we are, instead of me constantly coming on here, doing long live streams, just telling you guys everything on here, why we're doing it, when I can do some short little snippets in there in the video, and also show some action of putting this tender together. So I don't know. We'll have some of that, some excavation work this winter, whether it be on cleaning ditches, fence rows, but it's going to be, moving from farm to farm to farm to farm to farm. It's not just going to be sitting there cleaning up a woods. So it's going to be a little bit more exciting this winter, a little bit more faster paced, I guess you can say. So I take that back. Last year we cleaned up 2 woods. So that was a little bit more exciting than one. But yeah, that's just, shoot from the hip this winter. That's basically how I'm rolling. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, running the excavator and this winter and spray tender. Otherwise, who knows? Just kick back and pop some popcorn, and I guess who knows what the heck's going to happen this winter. I don't know. I guess you just have to wait when the videos roll in. Who knows? And the whole thing is when you get that, yep. Comes back another day, another way, or another way, another day, or another day, another way. Either way, it still flows the same. Just like Grandpa says all the time. Especially when we had that issue with that 800 acres. That was terrible. I kid you. I mean, that's just... And to think that we just about lost this 130 over here in Porter County because they were trying to rent that out from under us too. Fortunately, we're very good friends with the owners, very good friends with these owners. So that's how we were able to maintain that. But yeah, like I said, 2021 was all about seeing the true colors in people. And like I said, there's been a lot of bridges burnt this year. That's for sure. At least Dad and I burnt a lot. It's really unfortunate what's happened this year. That's all I can say. It's very frustrating. So, very frustrated. But I guess all you can do is chin up and push on and hope for another good year in 2022. So, that's what we're hoping for. So, which I mean, it's looking better. My God, I mean, we picked up. I hate saying this, but I mean, man, we picked up some pretty good ground over in Porter County that I'm really excited about. I mean, it's really good ground compared to what we've been farming. I mean, it's better than our river farm, which I was kind of surprised about that. I didn't think there was going to be much ground around in this area that's actually better than the river farm, but this has pretty shocked as far as what the CEC is coming in at around it's 20 to 30 CEC, which I mean some of you guys will probably laugh about that, but I mean for our area, I mean that's stupid good. I mean you're getting up there. So I mean I understand, some of you guys will say, yeah, CEC is just a piece of the puzzle, but I mean it means a lot, especially when you got higher organic matter soil too along with it. So I don't know. It's going to be real interesting to just see how that pans out. And future's looking a little bit better with that, so that's good. How do you like the sprayer? Love it. I mean, it's nice. Hardly anything to complain about it, honestly. Just great. All around solid. Would highly recommend an R series. Always figure better to work with than against others. Exactly. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Really unfortunate what happened this year. I just wish the people that they rent ground from could see their true colors for what they actually do to people. I mean, it's quite unfortunate, honestly. I mean, it wasn't just us that they messed with this year. It was a couple other neighbors that they messed with too. That it's really unfortunate. I really feel bad for the one guy that was. I think he was actually putting up a grain bin because of this, and they ended up doing the same. Like they screwed him out of it too, and it's just like, my God, when's enough enough? I mean, it's terrible. I mean, yeah, I mean, we wanted to pick up some ground. We wanted to pick up the ground, but I mean, where we were at position wise, we could really use the ground. Versus them, it's just hire another employee, and what makes a difference? And it's just like, wow, I don't know. It's really sad to see. And that's exactly right. All we can do is pray and hope for the best. And brace for the worst. Yep, that's exactly right. So, and be fortunate for what you have. Definitely don't forget that. Be definitely fortunate for what you have. Eric, you're a little late. My God, we're almost 2 hours into this. Reap what you sow. I should read the Facebook post I posted. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, I had a few guys that we run ground from comment to me and say, that was damn good. That was damn good. And I'm like, well, Dad just goes, we were on their last custom harvest field, and he's like, you got to say something. I'm like, well, and ironically, I was this close to posting something, and I'm like, I don't know. And Dad called me up, and he's just like, you got to say something. I'm like, well, all right, I'll think of something. And I sat there for about an hour, and I'm like, this, like I told Dad, I'm like, I just want people to realize, and I mean, some of you guys have probably gone through similar situations. Some of you guys are probably like, why is he just crying about this? And it's just like, it was quite frustrating what happened. I mean, it was a given for 3 years, and we were told for 3 years, and then it just gone. And it's like, son of a, it's just like, man. But oh well, move on. Look for the better. Avoid the worst. Reap what you sow. Exactly. Ugh, man. Yep, so I don't know. Maybe we'll run this till 9 o'clock if you guys want to keep posting some stuff on here. Maybe. We'll see. Eric, are you guys done harvesting yet? You guys finish up double crop beans? Because I saw you guys switched over to double crop. YouTube video comment. Your dad seems so serious. He don't never smile. Is he hard to work with? Oh God, the comment I could just put back on that is unbelievable. Is he hard to work with? Well, what day is today? Oh. Exactly right. When another door closes, another door always opens. And that's kind of how I look at it on this ground that we picked up. I mean, granted, this ground that we picked up, it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was part of the deal, but it was the same guys that had this 700-800 acres also farmed, or the 700-800 acres that were we seriously thought we had a good chance at. Also farmed this ground too. So it was, and plus we knew the owners. We could have had this ground a long time ago, but we told them no because we sold them seed, and it's just like it would not be right. We're not about stealing ground from people. That's not right. So, but so we knew this ground from custom harvesting, and we're a lot better than what we did before, and it's really good ground, and really excited about it, and really fortunate that we're able to farm it. So really excited about it. So really can't. Fall of 2022 on that farm can't come soon enough. I'm really stoked about it, honestly. Happy Thanksgiving, Flanders. So really 50 acres to go. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I know. This weather sucks right now. I don't understand it. My God. At least you'll be able to knock that out in one more day, hopefully. So, yup. Oh well. 2021, I tell you. This'll be a year we will never forget. That's for sure. That is definitely for sure. Oh, wow. Oh, really don't know who that is on Facebook that's trying to friend me right now. That's funny. Oh, geez. So I posted a post on Facebook, and this is getting some huge community traffic right now in the area. Asking for a friend when the Black Friday sales for DAP, potash, and nitrogen kick in. Oh, God. People are going nuts in the area about that. One guy goes like, "What? You didn't lock in 2 years ago before the prices shot up?" Nope. I know good and well he didn't. Oh, geez. Where's that at? I didn't. Wait, well, I guess it's one of many, but I guess which one is this? Or I guess whereabouts is this one going to be at? He put one down the road, or put one up down the road from us. It was a 4 or 5 tower. What's land prices going? 1,800. So let's hear your guys' thoughts on land prices right now. We went to a land auction recently, and there was some ground. Well, basically, the whole farm amounted to, I think it was, how many acres was that? It was like it was 199 acres total, 5 tracts. Whole farm averaged out at 17.5, and with buyer's premium, I think it ended up being around 18 something, but 1,800. What's the crossroad by it? 1,800 on which side of 421? It's kind of piquing my interest now. I might have to go take a drive tomorrow. 1,800. I'm trying to think. There's ginormous pivot. How many towers is it? This is really piquing my interest now, Flanders. You really got me going now. I see yeah, there's a land auction coming up on Tuesday that is kind of hard to believe that. I mean, and that one's going to bring quite a bit of money too. There is some ground in Hamilton County, Indiana, that sold for just under $30,000 an acre. And from what I heard, supposedly a farmer bought it. It was like 29.4 for the whole farm, I think. So which quarter mile long, I bet? 8 towers? Yeah, that'd be about right. Well, if it's 8 towers, yeah, that'd be, well, it depends on the length of the spans, but yeah, I'd say that's about a quarter mile, close to it. 6 tower, a decent spanned 6 tower. So let's just say a span's about 200 feet, which typically they are about, a span's anywhere from 188 to, or 178 to 201, 2010, I believe. Might have to get my Zomatic book out. But a good strong 6 tower would be a quarter mile long. So if he's 8 tower, he'd be just over a quarter mile, if not longer. Which side of 421 is this? Because I know he's putting up quite a bit of pivots this year, but I just didn't know. If he's putting up 8 towers, I'm wondering if that's probably going to be 2 wells. And also, I guess that depends on how close your pond is to his pivot, because that could potentially cause you an issue, maybe. East of 421. So east of 421 on 1,800. Well, we farm on 421 just north of Schaefer's there on that 40. Man, it's cool when we get the local people in here. It always spices things up, I tell you. 1800. Okay. So you're talking 1,800. Okay. Okay. I see where you're talking about. Okay. I see your pond. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna go on Beacon here. This is spicing things up. This is interesting. Yeah, I really hope he doesn't suck your pond dry. I mean, putting in too well. Okay. I see what. Yeah, I know that ground. Yeah, I can. It'd have to be 8 towers, I think. Yeah, you'd be right. 8 towers. Well, yeah, it'd be a quarter mile long. Yeah, you're right on that. So, quarter mile, yeah, from property line on your place. He's probably putting her, what, right there in that corner of that guy's property. right on the corner of his there. And he's probably going to have a corner system on it. And it's probably going to do a 3. Yeah, it's going to be a 270 right there. Yeah. Okay. Always cool. Like I said, it's always cool when you get local people on here because it just spices things up. Makes things exciting. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Kind of glad you... Yeah, I'm glad you went on this stream and told me this because this is kind of interesting going on Beacon and taking a look at this. Okay, so that's not up to date. Who farms that? Whoa, okay, this is kind of getting interesting. This is getting interesting, guys. I mean, honestly, this is getting pretty interesting. Really? So you have fish in that pond. That's cool. Who's, do you have any idea what's going on down the road from you guys to the east of you in that lot? Like, it would be, east of 900 there on the south side of 1800. Just, I don't know if you know Nick Port on the back side of his house in that lot. What's going on there? Because it kind of looks like they're kind of doing like a barn to barn, I guess you want to call it, or something. I mean, it's pretty cool what they're doing, but that's what I figured. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we farm right down the road from your house. They're on 1800 and 875, where that 3-tower pivot is on that 40, just north of Schaefer's. So he must be okay. That's kind of interesting how he's going to set that pivot up. How much ground does he have there? So he's got that. He's got... Oh, okay. So he has that too. Wow. Frank Land invest. Okay, this is kind of... I didn't know Frank's had that too. That's interesting. Yeah, I hope he doesn't suck your pond dry, honestly, because he'd probably be putting in, if it's an 8-tower, he'd be putting in 2 wells there. And depending on how close the wells are, and if you got fish in that pond too, I mean, what the heck? You know, I mean, he could potentially cause you some issues then. That wouldn't be good. I don't know. Yeah, we don't have any pivots that big. I mean, our biggest pivot's a 10-tower. I mean, that sounds big, but I mean, it's just to irrigate this one field. Just the way it's a windshield wiper style. I mean, or the way it's laid out at windshield wipes, it's not a circle pivot. I mean, if it went around in a circle of 10-tower, I mean, holy cow. I mean, you'd be talking about some acres then, but this pivot just windshield wipes, and it actually goes across 2 of their neighbors, but an 8-tower that goes around in a circle, you're talking some acres though. So, and 2 decent sized wells, if not 3, depending on the size of wells he's putting in. You know, he could do 3 8-inch, 2 10-inch, you know, it all depends. So, well, it's it'd be interesting because I don't know. Down the road from us, he did a vertical. Most of ours are vertical. Past couple though that we've done are horizontal, just like what Jeff did down the road from you. And we did one just down the road from you on that 40, on that 3-tower. We did a horizontal well back in 2013 there. I don't know if he'd do a horizontal well or not. I mean, the way well prices are, I mean, I don't know how big of a spread there is between horizontal or vertical. And I don't know if he's ever talked to the Win about doing a horizontal well. Most of them are vertical though, unless you talk to DeWin, which not a lot of guys in the area have done horizontal wells. I mean, the only people I know that have done horizontal wells is us and Jeff Mitzner. But I can't think. Well, maybe Schaefer's have done. I think Schaefer's might have put in a horizontal well. Maybe. I can't remember. Maybe they have. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Matt or Myron or Vern sometime. I don't know. Oh, you texted Pagano or did you text Jeff? Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand. I mean, I'd be concerned too. You know, I mean, you got a pond, you got fish. I mean, I'd be concerned. How many acres Fair Oaks Farms? Oh, it's got to be a lot. I mean, it's insane. Um, it's a crazy amount. I mean, we've probably been there a dozen times, right? I would say I've been there over a dozen times, just either on tours, pioneer meetings, just going there. You know, it's a cool place, but it's crazy how much money they make. So, well, you wouldn't happen to have any ground that would be up for rent, would you, Flanders? Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yeah, I would just ask him and just say, "Hey, you know, I know you're putting in an irrigator. Maybe I just hope it doesn't affect my pond, maybe." I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't want to get in the middle of it, but yeah, I mean, I could see that. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you got fish in it, yeah, you don't want any issues then. I mean, man, that wouldn't be fun, but oh, yeah, so we'll run this stream till 9 o'clock, and then I'll take off and go edit and get some more content out for you guys, I guess. So now I'm just surfing here on Beacon, looking at all the ground. I didn't know he owned that. That's interesting. Well, what the heck is this? Thomas. Oh, okay, I know what that is. Genuine question. Are you happy? Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know. That's we're diving in deep now. You know, we might not end this at 9 o'clock. Which part of farming makes you happiest? Like, are we talking like season to season as far as like planting, harvesting, spraying, side dressing? Are you like getting even deeper on that, or how deep do we want to go on this? What am I thankful for? Family and the close friends that I've got, and the acres that we are able to farm, and the equipment that we have, and the fortunate situations that we have been presented to in the past years. I mean, honestly, I mean, you look back. I mean, this goes for anybody. You know, you go through some tough times, like just let's just say this year, for example. You look back at some of the situations that you got yourself into. Now, I'm not saying this was a bad situation that we got ourselves into on this custom harvesting. You know, like I was telling Dad, because we got really bummed out on this. Honestly, this was really we got really bummed out, pretty bad. But like I was telling Dad, you know, I got to thinking, and ironically, the field that we finished up custom harvesting for him was the field that we first started 3 years ago, custom harvesting. And like I told Dad, I'm like, it's kind of interesting when we look back on this and say, wow, this is actually, we're gonna finish where we all started. And looking back, the 690 would have never came about. We would have ran that 9650 and had to replace a head gasket in it. I 150% guarantee we would have done that the following year. And for reasons why, I will not explain why. And that was kind of an after fact that we did not know what was going on. That was an underlying issue that we had zero idea whatsoever that was happening. So, but yeah, so that happened. But the 690 would have never came about. The 12 row would have never came about. The couple semis would have never came about. And what else? And the sprayer. Honestly, the sprayer too. So, I mean, the sprayer would have happened eventually, but would it be the exact same sprayer? No. Would it be roughly close to it? Maybe, depending on. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to look back and then think ahead in that same situation because I don't know what could have went different if that never would have happened. Honestly, I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of interesting when you look back on things like that and say, well, yeah, this sucks, but look what came out of it. Ours is rigid, and I'm kind of on the fence on unfolding versus your connection is unstable. Oh no. All right. But I mean, like I said, it's just interesting when you look back on certain situations, and we really thought we had something going there, and I guess it was never there to begin with, which, like I said, is quite frustrating. But like I said, there's a lot of good things that came out of it, and like I said, there's a lot of things to be thankful for this year. So, besides everything that went on this year, so. Well, and that's kind of the thing. Dad's kind of ingrained to me quite a bit over the years. When Dad was growing up on the operation, we never had. We were always short just a little bit on size on equipment, just a little bit, and we won't. That's how we ended up going to an 8820 and going to the larger planter and going, eventually to a 9650, which a 9650 at that time, I mean, it was when we got it, it was a pretty decent sized combine. Obviously, it wasn't the largest, but it was up there and it was still an upgrade for us. But at the time, there was bigger and better things out already. But a 690, that was a pretty big step for us, but we've made pretty big leaps in the past. Like I just listed off there. But if you can buy the larger equipment for even lesser acres and really what they're meant for and utilize them efficiently, then they're going to make you a positive ROI. And that's really stuck with me a lot on a lot of things I'm looking at for the future as far as equipment purchases go, that he's taught me quite a bit on, equipment size matters quite a bit, whether people want to think about it like that or not. I'm not bragging by any means, but it showed a lot this year in green stem beans. Having that extra horsepower, having that larger combine, having a 40-foot head in beans really helped out a lot this year, honestly. I mean, it seriously helped out a lot. And it's just increasing efficiencies. what is your bottleneck in your operation? That's what I look at all the time. What's causing us bottleneck issues? What can we do differently? What can we do to improve? What can we do to increase efficiencies? And that's, you know, I'm not saying go out and buy an X9 and go out and buy a 50-foot draper. No. If you can't justify it, don't justify it. Yeah, I mean, don't chase it. But if you can say buy a used Class 9 on an auction for good money, which that's going to be kind of hard to do in this day and age right now, with the way equipment prices are. But if you can justify it on your operation for the right money, go for it. I mean, honestly, if you can handle it in your operation and you can make it work, do it. That's the way we're thinking. Bigger is better regardless of the acres. That's the way we think. I'm not saying that I want to get an X9. Everybody wants to get an X9. I don't care. You can sit and say, oh, I want an 8RX, I want an X9. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. If you can't cut the check, don't cut the check. I don't know. That's just, I don't know. It's just kind of like a lot of things on economics I've really been thinking about lately by just watching these guys spend crazy money on ground. It's going to be interesting in the next 5 years. Very interesting. 3. That's impressive. 3 X9s. Wow. That's, 10 years ago, well, what would it be? It'd be, 12 years ago, honestly. 12 years ago, when literally an S-Series combine was, in the prototype phase. An S-Series combine was, 10 years ago, an X9 of its time, and it was top secret. Nobody knew what was going to happen. There was a lot of development and a lot of secrets and rumors going around about what John Deere was doing, and then it got unveiled. And 10 years ago, I thought it's just like going to a National Farm Machinery show. You just sat there and you're like, we'll never see one of those in 20 years. Fast forward 10 years and boom, we got fast forward 7 years, because in 2018 was when we got it. We got one. And it's just like, wow, this is really cool. And, at first everybody thought we were nuts, but then it's just like, in reality, it does make sense. But I don't know. I guess it just makes sense to us, but others might think we're nuts. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of things a lot of people can say on the internet. So exactly. An STS is just, an S-Series cab or an S-Series combine is just an updated version of an STS. An X9's in a class of its own, plain and simple. So I'm not saying we'll buy an X9 in 10 years' time. I'm just using rough examples of how things could change, and, it's hard to tell where things are going to go. 10 years from now, who knows what kind of situations we're going to be faced with, within 10 years. I've got 20 acres of my own currently, and things are going to be shifted around a little bit differently for 2022 to square things up a little bit differently. We were kind of in a transition phase from transitioning a lot from grandpa to dad. Now it's going to be more split a little bit more evenly between dad and I, because it was kind of a stair-step situation there that we couldn't do a lot all at one time due to mainly time. But how do I go about seeking more acres for myself? Well, that's kind of a tough situation just because of the fact that there's not a lot of acres to be had in the area that can be really up for grabs, and it's a lot of ground that's spoken for right now is already spoken for another guy when that time comes, when that guy quits. So it's really hard to go about going after ground for myself, just for myself, considering really the absolute best way for me to go about doing this would be to go out and buy ground. Um, the the market right now is not a buyer's market for ground. It is definitely a seller's market, and I'm not willing. I mean, there's a piece of ground coming up for sale that joins us. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing big, and it's nothing, that you're going to put an irrigator on someday. And it's nothing that I'm going to sit there and beat my chest someday and say, man, I am really proud and I'm really happy I bought that farm. It would just be a piece of ground that joins us up just to square up a rented farm just a little bit better. And it amounts to less than 20 acres. Well, with the potential buyer that we know that's going to buy not only more than likely this, but another piece of ground down the road, that also belongs with this farm that's coming up for sale on Tuesday, it really makes no sense for me to try and bid on something that I know I'm not even going to have deep enough pockets to even compete with. So right now, it's not really a time for me to consider sticking my neck out for that type of ground. But if it was more of a private sale, a little bit more, easier to compete with, yeah, I'd do a young farmer loan. I don't know exactly what the FSA file number would be under. Like, I mean, I know you're listing off one deal 1.3. Oh, I think you're saying 1.3 million. I think that's what you're saying. But I know they can do a young farmer loan, which actually a neighbor of ours had his son do that, which actually worked out really well for him. So that's good for him. I'm really glad that worked out for him. But it's just, there probably will be an instance where there's going to be a piece of ground that's going to come up within the family here. Not like close. I'm not talking like close family. I'm talking, their relation to us. And I mean, they're part of the family, but I mean, they're not like, my grandma's ground or grandpa's ground or whatever. It's not that. It's another part of the family's ground. We don't farm it, but it's an interesting situation on it. But I mean, we're best of friends with them, so it doesn't matter. I mean, they're family, but I don't know how that's going to work. If that's going to be a situation where, I don't know, kind of interesting on that. But you talked about or asked me about like buddying up with the older generation in the area that doesn't have basically a next generation to take over the ground. And I feel it's really cool the relationships dad and grandpa have developed, not only just the people that we're friends with, but also the relationships that we developed also outside of those relationships of selling seed. It's really cool. And basically, it kind of goes hand in hand. When they're friends with these people, I'm basically kind of want to say grandfathered in as a friend. And it's really cool talking with them. And you like to hope that there's a chance there. And you like to hope that there's a chance that they look at you and say, when I'm done, I'd like Keith to farm the ground. You always hope that, but you don't know what may happen. You don't know what the situation may boil down to. You don't know underlying relations of somebody else. You don't know. I mean, honestly, I mean, it gets very interesting very quick, and you don't want to step on somebody else's toes. You don't, you know, it's a lot harder than just going out there and saying exactly. Not knowing is hard. Yeah. Yes. So, because there's a lot of people that are related to a lot of other people in this area that farm, and relations can get tied up very quick. And that's a pretty unique thing about this area, the way, you know, one, how closely knit the community is, and how fast word can travel. Two, the underlying issues on ground is phenomenal in this area. I mean, for what this ground actually is, and for what the ground brings, and for what the ground we can raise on this ground is phenomenal. So that it throws a really big wrench into the equation there. You know, if a 40 comes up for sale, I can guarantee you it's bringing $10,000+ an acre. Why? Because you can put a 3-tower pivot on it. If you can put an irrigator on it, it's bringing big money. So, and that's just a given. So it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to. You got to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So, I think Ryan. I think I saw your question a while back. I think. Oh no, that was from Tucker. Tucker, there's actually a video. I hope you're still in the stream. I'm sorry I did not answer your question earlier, but there's actually a tour on the office, complete finished tour, that I have uploaded that you can go check out. Yeah, potato farms up in your area. You must. Whereabouts are you at in Central Michigan? Because we work with a guy out of Holland, Saugatuck area, that does a boatload of work with potato guys. So, but yeah, so basically up there, I've kind of got the understanding, especially also from you, hearing this from you. Potato guys pretty much dominate the area up there. In our area, it's seed corn and tomatoes. So a lot of production seed for the Midwest, for Bayer, Pioneer, DeKalb, like, you know, a lot of regional seed too. A lot of seed for the U.S. comes out of our area. And I'm not saying like all of it, you know, a good chunk of it. I mean, there's a lot of production in here, you know, in our neck of the woods in Illinois. You know, there's a lot of seed acres in this area, and a lot of seed acres over in central Illinois too. So, but in our area, really, our area is pretty well dominated by tomatoes and seed corn, plain and simple. So, yeah, so there's that. So how do you go about making some major capital that you can use on buying land, since farming isn't bringing in major racks? Yes, 1 point. Okay, I see. You're asking about, or saying 1.3 million. So the seed business helps. The seed business has helped out a lot in our farm operation, in more ways than one. And the Logan business has helped. To be honest, I have no idea what our commission even is on this as of right now, to date still. Mainly, I'm just doing it just because I know the products work, and it's actually opened up some relationships. It's rekindled some relationships with others that, I mean, I wouldn't say rekindled, but I would say it's strengthened or reconfigured some relationships with others that we've had in years past on seed. and kind of fell away with just due to seed production. Not any issues with us because we're still good friends with them, irregardless, since they quit buying seed. But it was just kind of they raised for DeKalb, and well, they want you buying DeKalb seed. So, but they want to. We've been working with them on the Logan stuff, and they tried out some Pioneer again, and they want to plant Pioneer, but it's just one of those things where they raise for DeKalb, but which we understand. We've run into that before, so that's opened up some doors. The Logan stuff helps. The YouTube helps. The YouTube's helped a lot. Just on my end, just for a lot of doors that have opened up for me personally and for the farm. The income side of things, I mean, I can be cut and dry and simple on this. I've made 10 grand on YouTube alone to date. It's probably a hair bit more just because I haven't looked on the income side of analytics on YouTube lately, because I just haven't been posting videos lately. But I've made just over 10 grand a date on YouTube. I mean, I'm perfectly okay with telling you guys this because it impacts me. It doesn't hurt me in no way, shape, or form telling you guys this, because what makes a difference how much money I make on YouTube? Because literally every single penny that I've made on this has gone into this computer setup, the drones, the GoPros, and it's helped buy one thing, which I actually already had capital there really sitting for it. But I didn't pay cash for it. The 28 applicator. So the checks for YouTube, they're direct deposit, so I don't have to worry about handling the cash or anything, but it's helped. So, little things, a lot of little things add up. The custom work, that's helped. Custom harvesting. So that's helped out quite a bit. That's, how we stepped into a larger combine, how we, went to a 40-foot. Well, I guess taking that way back, looking back on stuff, the 40-foot draper would have never came about. But anyways, jumping back into this, it's helped us step into a larger draper, a larger corn head, a larger combine, not new things by any means, but used equipment still has value. So has value to us, at least. Two semis, they weren't new, they were used. We're not going out buying new equipment, I can tell you that. So cash rents, I'd prefer not to say, just because it's very cutthroat in this area, and some people might take it the wrong way on where I'm coming from on rent. So don't take this personally, but I just would prefer to keep a close lid on that, just because it's really cutthroat. And it's, you name it, like, there's some crazy rent in the area. Crazy rent. And I mean, it's insane. So hold on. Wow, the comments are really starting to flood in now. So what do you think about entering a contest with harvesting your corn in your area with your Pioneer against others like Nathan on Borderview Farms in Michigan? So kind of, George, are you talking like, because I follow Borderview Farms, he's pretty cool to follow. One of many farm accounts I follow. So are you talking like NCGA? Are you talking Corn Warriors style? Are you talking, because I can't remember. Does he plant Pioneer, or is it a different brand? Which, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. But are you talking? I just had to check Facebook real quick, but my little Black Friday thing's really tickling a lot of other guys in this area. I just find that hilarious. But okay, so he runs Golden Harvest. So basically, are you just saying you want me to do uh, a little contest within a contest with him, as far as, you know, uh, my best, in my opinion, my best ground with best, or basically similar soil type that he's got, that, we could compare on, climate versus climate, and his best variety versus, in my opinion, our best variety in our area against him. Is that what you're asking, George? Because I mean, it'd be kind of be interesting, but I haven't really talked to Border View a lot, so. Long Beach. Whereabouts is Long Beach, Indiana? I've honestly have never heard of Long Beach. I guess, John, do you have ground in LaPorte County? Because there's actually a farm auction coming up on Tuesday, so it'd be kind of interesting. Uh, the this Tuesday's auction will probably be setting a precedence in south of 30 of LaPorte County for sure on ground. Oh, next to Michigan City, really? Okay. I just typed in Long Beach and it's taking me to California. Gosh darn it. To be honest, it's kind of hard to tell what ground's going to go for in LaPorte County, because Porter County ground's a bit different than LaPorte, and Porter County ground kind of went out of sight. And this ground that's going to be coming up on Tuesday could potentially go out of sight too. I don't know. It's hard to tell who the buyers are, but it's pretty obvious it's going to go about the same way as what that ground in Porter County did. Do you happen to have ground in LaPorte County that you got that is farm ground? Is that why you were asking, or curious out of plain curiosity about like what farm ground's actually going for? Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. From an investor standpoint, if you have a boatload of cash, I mean, I would say that would be a buyer's market for you. But I mean, right now, in my opinion, for really pretty much anybody else, it'd be a seller's market because of the way the ground's selling for right now. So, I mean, how soon down the road would you be talking? Because they actually have an auction coming up, and there's a block of ground. It'd be about 157 acres. Well, I take that back. There's actually a 203 acre block. Well, let me just pull up the auction bill for you. I mean, I guess, how soon would you actually be seriously wanting to do something? Because there's actually, this auction's coming up on Tuesday. I mean, I know that's kind of a tight pinch for you if you were wanting to do something, but ground right now is selling for, in my opinion, an all-time high. And if you're wanting to get a 4% return, it'd be really hard. I mean, when would it go down? I wish I could tell you that, honestly. It's so there is some ground in Porter County. I mean, put it this way, John. If you do end up buying some ground in LaPorte County or even Porter County, I would greatly appreciate it if you would keep me in mind to actually farm it for you. If you're wanting to just make it a land investment, I'd be seriously interested in farming the ground for you if that day ever came about. So, but take for granted this ground in Porter County, and actually 20 acres of that ground laid right next to this ground that we've just picked up. And our landowner actually wanted to buy part of that 20 acres to kind of square up his ground. And he was willing, I'm not going to say what he was willing to go to. That wouldn't be fair to him and fair to others either. But he had a price set in mind, and he actually quizzed us on it. And we told him, flat out, we knew what that ground was worth. And we are like, well, really, it's worth the absolute most to you because it is blocked and split by a ditch, and literally the only person that it will benefit is you. And we weren't telling him that just because we farmed the ground for him now, but because it seriously only made sense for him to buy the ground. And that ground, I believe, ended up going for 12, specifically that parcel 5 went for over 12.5 an acre, which we were blown away by. And that's not including buyer's premium. That whole farm, it totaled 199 acres, split 5 tracts, I would say about 8 miles apart between all the tracks, like contiguous layout. And it was, I would say, I think it ended up, I could just look it up and let you know, but I know it was over 17.5 by the time the buyer's premium went in. So, and that's $17,500 an acre. There was 130. Now, granted, Hamilton County, Indiana's better ground than LaPorte County. It's got a lot higher CEC and a lot more bottom of ground to it. I mean, it's got a lot better subsoil to it and a lot better topsoil, so a lot more organic matter than LaPorte County. But they recently just sold 130 acres, and supposedly a farmer bought this. But the ground went for, and there was 5 tracks. I don't know. I haven't really read into it too much on as far as how much each tract ended up being acre wise. But what I was told, what the farm averaged out at, and it was one guy that bought it all, supposedly, was over $29,000 an acre. So it's really hard to tell. I honestly, I wish I had a crystal ball right now because, well, if I had a crystal ball right now, I wouldn't be farming. But, but I just really wish I knew what this ground was going to bring for, because this is going to be very interesting to see what this actually is going to do to land sales in let alone besides LaPorte County, but more specifically south of 30 LaPorte County, because in my opinion, there's a ground change between north side of 30 and south side of 30, more specifically down in the La Crosse area. And this ground that's laying right south of 30 here, just outside of Wanata, east of Wanata, it's really good ground. And with one block of it being over 200 acres, it's really hard to tell what this is actually going to bring for. And it's really, I don't, when you ask when it will go down, it'll be real interesting when that happens, because I think it's going to happen after the fact that grain market, it's going to, so I feel it's going to happen after the grain market starts to go down. And I feel we won't see nothing till about probably when corn hits $3 and, well, probably not until corn hits a low 4, in my opinion. So, and that's going to be really hard to tell. With inflation the way it is right now, it really depends on the tract of ground. I mean, 500 acres is a lot of ground, and I think that's awesome that you want to invest in farm ground. I think anybody should invest in farm ground because, in my opinion, it's a really good investment. But whether for you, if it's a buyer's market or not, just really depends on how much you'd be willing to spend and what you'd be willing to spend. And what you would want to buy would be really hard to figure out, because it all depends on the type of ground in LaPorte County that you'd be buying, because the better the ground, the more, I mean, it's plain and simple, in plain words, the better the ground, the more money it's going to bring. But when that ground price will actually go down enough so it's more realistic, like it was, let's just even say last year, because last year it was realistic figures, but it was still climbing upwards to out of sight prices. Now it's just out of sight, doesn't matter. But yeah, so I hope that helps, John, but I know I might have painted a little bit of a bleak picture there for you to buy some ground. I mean, I really hope you end up buying some ground, and I really hope depending on where you buy it in LaPorte County, that you consider, Werner's to farm the ground for you. But yeah, I mean, I understand. I mean, I think it's really awesome that you want to buy farm ground, but I just don't know if it's a buyer's market for your investment, for you to get a good return. Because I mean, if let's just say, I'll do some quick math here on. Let's just say you buy a. Let's just do. Okay, you want to do 500 acres. So 500 acres. Let's just say that brings $15,000 an acre. So that's $7.5 million. So if you want a 4% return, wow, yeah. So that'd be $300,000. So you'd be talking $600 an acre rent. Okay, so okay, yeah, $10,000. So you'd be talking $5 million. You'd probably most investors, and I'm not saying that's your situation. I don't know what kind of return you'd be wanting, but it seems like most investors shoot for about a 4% return, it seems like, or at least that's how we always do the math on it. And it seems like what we hear from most investors, or when an investor buys ground, 9 times out of 10, it sounds like it's about, about that anywhere from 3 to 4%, maybe upwards in that 4.5% return range. So take 4% on that, divide that. I mean, you'd be looking at $400 an acre cash rent for 500 acres, which that'd be kind of tough for me to swallow. $400 an acre cash rent. I know there's some really big operations that would be more than happy to spend more than that, even, which it's really hard to justify, and I don't know how they do it. And you really scratch your head on it all the time, because there's a big operation down here, or I guess I don't want to bash them, but I mean, they're a wannabe big operation, and they've really screwed with a lot of people on a lot of rent, and went after a lot of landowners, and they're willing to pay that higher rent, but the job of farming is, you're sitting there scratching your head saying, how can you justify that high a cash rent? In our area, $400 is really tough. 300, I mean, it would have to be really, really, really good irrigated ground for $400. Really, really good. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting what happens here in the next 5 years. I hope that helped, John. I don't know. I really didn't want to paint a bleak picture for you on buying ground, because I really don't want to deter anybody from buying ground, because like I said, I think it's a really good investment, but it's just, yeah, it's a really head scratching market right now. So, yeah, but then you got to factor in input costs there. Prestige at 5.25 at 200 bushel. Yeah, 1050 gross, but you got to factor in input costs for this year. It'd be higher than 800 for this year for 200 bushel in our area. Yeah, you'd be talking around 1,000 for corn. So I mean, you'd be, if not better than corn, or better than 1,000, honestly. So yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, we factor in, so get this, every time we turn on the pivot essentially to move it, it costs us money. I mean, which makes sense. I mean, it's run on electric, but it's a very high fee that we have to pay to turn that on and move it. So factoring in irrigation, I mean, we've had some irrigated ground cost us quite a bit of money per acre this year, but it has paid off tremendously as far as the return on ROI that we get from irrigation. We get a little bit more control, significant more control on the water, more say. Fertigation has helped out a lot, spoon feeding micronutrients out throughout the season, NP and K as well. So it's helped out quite a bit. I don't know. Well, depends on what type of ground you're talking. Or if we're talking below sand ground, you hope you can raise 160 bushel corn a year. That's if it rains. If it doesn't rain, you could be talking nothing. I mean, I'm not BSing or blowing smoke or being a horse's ass. I'm being dead serious on that. But on good ground, it's hard to say. It all depends on the rain, depends on our climate for that year. Oh yeah. In our part of Northwest Indiana, I mean, basically what we're farming is part of the lake shore, essentially. So we deal with topsoil, that's sand. We deal with subsoil, that's sand. There are some fields that has a clay subsoil, and we've got some sandy clay that we farm. It makes it challenging for no-till, but once we get the ground situated, which we are finally this past couple of years getting it situated, it's returned very well for us. So it's just there's many different ways to farm, and there's many different ways to make a dollar, and it's just all about how you go about making that dollar, how it's going to be most profitable most profitable for you. So yeah, I hope you're having a good Thanksgiving too, Charles. St. Joe, Michigan? No, we are Northwest Indiana, so we're talking like Wanata, Hanna, Valparaiso, Indiana area. So oh yeah, I mean we've got the NCGA field is a below sand field. I mean it would not. I mean there was a year that we picked 50 bushel corn off of it. Dad told me 50 bushel corn, and you put irrigation on it, and granted that takes you to the next yield level. Better fertility management takes you to the next yield level. Higher fertility management takes you to pretty amazing yield levels like what we saw this year. So it's quite interesting what we've been able to do with irrigation. What kind of doors it's opened up on, especially under fertigation. Fertigation has been huge for us. So Drozd. I've heard that name before. Not in our area, though. Isn't that... Oh, yeah. So, Drozd Farms. I think, if I'm saying that right, corn... or I guess the guys that we work with, one we work with that's in this group actually works with him. I'm not saying they do all their work with this guy, but he helps. He's one of the guys that Drozd works with. So, because he's actually, it's quite interesting when you actually dive into how Corn Warriors works versus NCGA. They want an average yield off of 10 acres. NCGA wants it off of 1.25 minimum acres. They don't care how many acres you take that average off of for NCGA, as long as the weigh tickets come back correct and your supervisors are there and you're doing everything right. As long as you have a minimum of 1.5 acres. Corn Warriors, it has to be a minimum 10-acre average on Corn Warriors. Pretty interesting. I find that really interesting because that's a lot higher of a level than NCGA that you're taking it to, honestly. I mean, that's to pull off 400 bushel corn on a 10-acre average. What the hell are you doing? I mean, honestly. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. So, but back to am I saying that right? Drozd or drop? Let me know if I'm mispronouncing that. I don't want to mispronounce their name, but one of the guy, okay, Droz. So one of the guys that we work with actually works with him, and he was telling me about his, I guess, Corn Warriors field, and he said it's quite interesting. He's thrown quite a bit at it, and he had some issues again this year, and he was telling me some things that he was doing, and he goes like, you guys are actually very similar as far as fertility management goes, and actually the practices that you guys are doing on fertigation and stuff. He's like, you guys are a little bit more ahead of them on fertigation by far, but he's like, he's thrown quite a bit at it as far as, Pivot Bio, a lot of other foliar brand products. He's like, besides the Logan stuff. And he goes like, there's a lot of things that he hasn't even told me that he's done that I probably won't even know about, he said. And that's just because they're the way they are, which I can understand. There's a lot of guys out there like that. But I don't know. He said their soil in their area is very similar to ours. So depending on how they manage fertility, I would imagine their fertility levels are pretty good. Or really good. So I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I hate to talk about a farm that I don't know of and I've never met or talked to. And but yeah, so but yeah, I wish them all the best of luck. And I don't know how they fill out on Corn Warriors, but he said it looks really good. And I think I'm not sure. Do they sell Pioneer? I don't know. Because I swear he told me it was a Pioneer number. I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys know or not. They do sell Pioneer? Because I swear I've heard the name before, like down at Indy before, down at Kick. Well, I guess yes and no. I've heard that name before down there, but they're not actually there because that's the Ileana district and not, and they're part of a different district. They sell Pioneer. That's what I could have swore he told me it was a Pioneer number that the Corn Warriors was in. So, and I'm just looking at their farm right now, and I can see some bulk bins there. So I just assumed that they probably sold Pioneer. Bins on their farm right now, and also the fact I was pretty sure that Dave told me that was a Pioneer number. Yeah, I hear you, Flanders. I mean, my God, that's they actually talked about that 10 years, maybe it was 12 years ago, about doing wind turbines here in La Crosse, and ended up going out of this area. But yeah, man, the wind is howling tonight. It's, I don't know, cold front's really moving in. That's for sure. Yeah, 10 acres on Corn Warriors. Because I didn't know this till I talked to Dave, and Dave's like, yeah. He's like, for NCGA, he's like, what is it? And I'm like, well, 1.25. And he's just like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's a minimum 1.25 acres. And he's like, well, what about, I'm like, well, what about Corn Warriors? And he's like, well, that's actually a minimum 10. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, they're held to a higher standard. I'm like, didn't know that. And he was joking with me. He's like, so when's Warner's going to be on Corn Warriors? I'm like, well, I'm working on that. I'm like, actually, I was this close to being on this season for 2021, but yeah, there's still talk. I've been talking with the, I guess you want to say the producer of it, that's on Instagram. And I've talked to him a little bit on that. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys just need, when they go around with the nomination process, one of you guys should just nominate me. I'd do it. I don't care. I'd do Corn Warriors. I think that'd be cool, but I don't know. Problem is, I don't know. I probably could do the NCGA. They could probably do Corn Warriors and the NCGA entry all in one block. Like pull my NCGA entry out of that Corn Warriors block. Because that, I'm not going to do 2 high fertility management plots. I guess I could, but I'd prefer just to do the one. But as far as getting them up out of the ground, not yet. We still actually have cover crop yet to put out. Now, granted, we actually put some cover crop out last 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we put cover crop out a week before Christmas and had the same exact great stand as what we do putting it out in September. So I'm not really concerned about it. Dad's kind of like, we'll see what the weather does. And I'm like, throw it out there, run it over with the vertical till, it will come up. If we can plant wheat up until this time, why can't we throw out rye? I don't know. That's just my philosophy on it. We'll see. I'm hoping we can finish up our cover crop acres for this fall for next year. We'll see. So what kind of yields are we pulling off of our best irrigated ground? That's another thing. On owned ground, I'd be more than happy to share that with you. But again, private message me. I hate to do this to you guys, but it's just, like I said, the year that we've had, and I would just prefer to talk one-on-one with you guys on the yield thing. The year that we've had this year, that's what I would prefer. I would be more than happy to share in YouTube the owned acres, but on our rented acres, it just gets to be so hit and miss and touchy on those. I really hate that it boils down to that fact. It shouldn't be that bad. But I hate to say it, but in our area, it's come to that due to certain people in our area. And it's just, you wish it wasn't like that. No, not yet. Well, that's the problem. With the NCGA field, I don't know. I wish it was past December 12th, which actually I guess I should be getting really excited about this. I'm just now thinking about this. December 12th is only just over 2 weeks away. And so I'll back up a little bit. December 12th is the day that I can legally start talking about what my entry actually did. Otherwise, if I were to say what my entry did right now, I forfeit placing anywhere in the NCGA, wherever I place. So, and so basically after December 12th, I can free and clear talk about it. But with the tailings door being open on the combine when we harvested that, and us not knowing till after we moved out of that field, I don't know. It could have went over 300. I don't know. I would like to really seriously think that it did, and that's why I say I feel we were in our range. And I talk about this more in the videos as I produce these. You guys will hear me talk about this, about what range we were shooting for. But next year, my absolute serious goal is to average over 325 next year on irrigated corn. And I'm not saying across the board. I'm just saying on the NCGA field. That's my goal. So, I know it's actually a hard challenge to do in no-till in the no-till irrigated class. Looking at the placings in the past um, 5 years, honestly, you look at the past 5 years, and 320 uh, has been the ceiling, honestly. Like there's been some that have breached it a little bit, and have gone about 333. But my goal, just personal goal, I don't care where it places in the NCGA, but my personal goal would, wow, this stream's gone on for 3 hours. I just saw that. But my personal goal for NCGA for next year, 2022, is 325 average. Over minimum 325 average. So there's going to be some changes on the fertility side, mostly increased rates, honestly, and that's more so on the foliar Logan side situation. And that was more just because we were stepping into a complete all farm this rate, and we've seen it in years past work. We just did it on all the acres last year. Really, still happy with it. So now we're going to bump the rate up. And that's just because there's a use rate, and we were on the lower end use rate, still seeing great results. Next year, it's like it makes sense, even with higher input costs, to go to the higher rate. So, and hopefully, we'll see an even higher response. So how did the tailing store get open? That's a very good question that I wish I knew the answer for. I don't know. I, honest to God, don't know. Neither does Dad. You and I and a lot of other guys understand that those clean grain elevator doors and those return elevator doors, the way those latch, those don't just magically pop open. So if somebody was going to screw with us on that field, and honestly, they did a pretty good thing because we did not notice. We didn't notice it, and it really pisses me off, honestly, that somebody would do something like that. So, but it is what it is, honestly. You can't do nothing about it right now. You can't point no fingers. You can just sit and speculate all you want and grind your teeth about it. But you know what? You move on. You don't let it get to you, and you're happy with what you got, honestly. I mean, my God. I mean, what we pulled off of that field was the best corn we've ever picked, ever. So that's awesome. And it sets a benchmark for next year. I just wish we knew the actual benchmark for that field. Coin store open, it was over what the actual yield we ended up submitting. So, which it's really sad about that, but cut your losses and keep moving on. Head up. So, oh, wow, yeah, that would not be good. We demoed a combine. Speaking of shoe augers, we demoed a combine this year, 780 20 20. What was it? It was either 2018 or 2020 model S780. I hate the fact that I can't remember what year it was, but it was one of those two. And 740 FD Draper, doesn't really matter the year. I think it was a 17 or 18. And we ran the 690. It was on custom work, and we ran the 690 on about 85 acres out of this 100 and some acre field, and the remaining 20 some acres we finished up with the 780. And a week later, 2 weeks, well, about a week and a half later, doesn't matter the field, you had field loss this year. Every field had field loss, and especially on beans. Beans are easily more seen than corn. We're driving along, and I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, look at the loss that we had on that 780. I'm like, that's insane considering we were running the Harvest Smart. And I'm like, something's up because that's a racing stripe in a flat out, pronounced area. There's something going on there. So we called up our salesman and we're like, hey, Matt, this is what we're kind of seeing. What do you think this might be? Shoe auger door was open. It's like, wow. Yeah, this was on 25 acres. So we didn't know. I mean, neither did the salesman. And this was 3 weeks after the fact that we had the demo. And he's like, oh crap, that combine's been up in corn or running corn up in Michigan. Oh crap. And it's like, yeah, that's not good. So yeah, it's kind of interesting where droves are at. They're not too far from Logan products come from. South Holland, I would say about an hour, maybe 45. What do you think of 60s yield saver chains? In my opinion, I feel they would take in more trash, and so does Dad. And as far as brushes go, it seems like they only last about 1,500 acres, was what I heard. I don't know if it'd be really worth the money. I guess firsthand experience. What are you seeing? Do you see any benefit to them? What's your thoughts? Because I mean, I'm not saying that we're wanting to switch. I'm just flat out curious, and just for my own curiosity, just wanting to know what other people's thoughts are on them. It just seems like to me that they would take in more trash. I'm not saying that they won't do their job. I know they'll do the job about helping save butt shelling, but and also any stray kernels. But I just feel you'd take in more trash, and I don't know. That's just basically my opinion on it, and that they would cost more to run than standard chains, than versus what you're actually gaining. So, and I guess it probably depends on drier corn. You're probably going to pay off more in drier corn versus wetter corn, and I'm thinking probably 19% would be your balance there. So anything wetter than 19, you're probably not going to see a benefit except for more increased trash. And then probably 19 and under, you're probably going to be looking at same amount of trash intake, I would say, but increase in kernel saving. So you actually did see a good increase, though. But what about, what would you say on trash intake, though? So, okay, so you put them on the middle, too, so that'd be good, so you could have really good visibility then. Prestige, you're basically running the stream right now. I'm surprised nobody else is chiming in. Yeah, so would you say there was increased trash intake, or what would you say, Prestige? Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess since Prestige is pretty much just running this stream now, we're gonna run this till about 10:10, and we'll wind this down, I guess. And unless we get on a really hot, juicy topic here, I don't know. So But yeah, that's pretty interesting on the 360 yield savers. I don't know. I doubt we'll ever run them. I'm really happy with our Calmer setup right now, which that reminds me, I need to talk to Calmer and get that footage so I can put that video together too. Skid steer. 333G. It's a 2016. Really like it. Drinks a lot of fuel. A lot of fuel really quick. A lot of guys online that watched me run it last year, they were saying that I need to throttle it down or keep my foot out of the throttle. Well, it goes hand in hand. It's kind of like having a bigger combine. Bigger the combine, the more fuel you're going to use, the more you operate the skid steer, the more things you're doing with the skid steer, the more fuel consumption you're going to have. It's a trade-off. Yeah, I love it. Probably the only thing I wish it had was a backup camera, which I know on the newer ones you can get, 333G. My opinion, I would get a big skid steer, depending on your operation. In my opinion, if you're kind of on the fence on one for versatile farm operations outside of livestock, because I understand there's a lot of different things that come into play for livestock, for skid steer use, but for an operation similar to ours or bigger than ours with no livestock, but wanting to do very similar things like what we do with the skid steer, I would tend to lean towards getting the biggest one that you can get your hands on. So I was just fortunate enough because I just happened to spy this on a inventory Ag Pro reduction auction. And I wasn't really wanting the skid steer at first because I wasn't looking for one at the time. I mean, I was looking for one, but I didn't think I was going to spend the money right then and there for one. It just came about because I was just looking to see what combines were bringing, just because I was just out of curiosity wanting to see what these 700 series were going to go for, because it was on a brink on the economy on the brink of a farm economy interesting scenario where it's like it could go one of two ways, and I was just out of my own curiosity wanting to see what this auction was going to go for, because these combines going into this auction were bringing dirt cheap money, and coming out of this auction, dirt cheap money too. So it was really interesting to watch. Well, and then after going through this whole auction, I ended up finding the skid steer towards the bottom, and I'm like, well, let's just see. And I ended up picking that up, which worked out really good. But as of right now, if I were to try and buy something this time of year right now, same thing, I'd be probably spending $15,000 to $20,000 more of my money, which I couldn't afford to buy a skid steer like that right now. So for that kind of increase, so. All right, so 2 more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and end it here. And so new video tomorrow, new video Saturday, new video Sunday, new video Monday, new video Tuesday. So it's going to be like the good old days. If you guys were around back last fall when I literally put out a video every single day, and you guys are like, holy shit, how is he able to do that? And it's like, well, yeah, it was pretty intense. There'd be a lot of there'd be a lot of days where I wouldn't leave here till about 3 in the and get back up at about 5:30 and come back out here, and it's just like, you want me to film? I'm going to film another video today and edit it again and do this whole same thing again. Yeah, that's kind of how last fall went, and it's like, not doing that again. But farmland in Fort Wayne, I would say it's pretty good. I'm not really familiar. I mean, I'm familiar with the territory over there, but then again, I'm not. I would say personally, it's pretty good ground over in that area. So, I like the verse. Yeah, telehandlers are pretty good too. I kind of wish we could get one too, because I could definitely put a telehandler to use as well. ever thought of putting a cover crop seeder on your Great Plains? So that's going to be the last question for tonight. So it's kind of a trade-off. A cover crop seeder for our vertical till is, it goes hand in hand with justifying it as far as needing more acres to run that vertical till on to justify it. So we could do custom work, but the trade-off on that is it wears the vertical till out faster. But the trade-off is you're still, the benefit on that, the benefit out of that outcome is though you're still able to justify it. It's still an idea. There's something that Dad and I are kind of thinking about doing yet this winter that may or may not come out yet this winter that may make a difference on the cover crop seeding besides the dry fertilizer. So we're thinking about doing that. I'm not really going to say too much on that because I'll kind of keep you guys in a cliffhanger there, depending on what we do or don't decide to do there. But yeah, so it's the thought that matters on that and there. I don't know. So, all right. Well, I'll let you guys go, and I guess you guys can look forward to quite a bit more content coming your way. A lot of cool things coming for 2022. And that's about it. So next live stream, probably, I don't know, just like I said, I'm just shooting from the hip this winter, and you guys can play it by ear. I'm trying to get caught up on Instagram. I know a lot of you guys are probably like, what the heck? But Instagram's getting caught up here. And yeah, so expect a new video every single day from here on out till I run out of content. So that's probably going to end up being from now till Christmas. Just because the content's just going to kind of steadily keep going here. So expect a new video every day till Christmas, if not even even through the new year. Just depends. So with that, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video, if not next live stream.